Welcome to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trento Vision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or Tom at trentovision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and trentovision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Hi, here's Tom Trento. Hi, here's Tom Trento. Good afternoon. We all wake up when that little light goes on that says on the air. Good to be back. On Monday, the 11th of February, we have a pretty wild show once again for you today. After Friday's show.
They let you come back.
Yes. The waterboarding is not that bad after all. You know, if you hold your breath and put your fingers in your nose just like that, if they don't duct tape your hands behind your back, it's not that bad. Where do we start?
What a wild weekend, huh?
It's been a wild weekend. We've gotten very little sleep. We've gotten zillions of emails and texts and Facebooks and this and that and all the other items. And I think it's running about 3-1. 3 positive communications to 1 negative communication. And some of our friends are very upset with us.
Why are they upset, Tom?
Over what we did on Friday.
What did we do on Friday, Tom?
What did we do on Friday? And look, if you ever want to get into public communication and at the point of radio or anything like that,
don't.
Don't
don't do that.
You better have thick skin. You know, your skin better be like this,
and lots of financial reserve.
Yeah, exactly. Because regardless how many times you tell people we are the messenger. There's the message over there. The slings and the arrows get sent to the messenger. And no matter how many times we intellectually, academically, and responsibly qualify exactly what we're saying, the nitwits out there just respond. What am I talking about? Well, on this beautiful Monday morning in beautiful Boca Raton, I'm talking about our Friday show, where we interviewed a former federal agent with the FBI, John Guandolo, who has written an article, and he broke the story on the air that John Brennan, President Obama's nominee for the top spy, you know, Spy versus Spy, those two guys, the boss of Spy versus Spy would be John Brennan, the head of the CIA. He has been nominated by the president. He is being questioned by the Senate Intelligence Committee, 15 people. We'll tell you about them in a second. And on Thursday, there's going to be a vote, and the Democrats have the majority. So Brennan is a shoo-in. We all know that. And John Guandolo wrote an article that made several substantial points about John Brennan, factual fundamental points, and then he also included in his presentation, John Guandolo did on Friday on our show, factual information about people he knows who witnessed, people John knows who witnessed John Owen O'Brennan converting to Islam. And it was in the context of a larger I.O. influence operation initiated years before by the Saudi government. Is this conspiratorial? Is this craziness? Well, if a whack job off the street came and said, hey, I got a story. But when you have an individual of the investigative caliber as John Guandolo, and I'm very aware of John's background and his strengths and his weaknesses. They are recorded very, very well. John is a colleague of mine on Team B2. Team B2 was the group of 19 national security folks who came together through the direction of Frank Gaffney at Center for Security Policy. And we each were tasked with a particular responsibility to write a chapter on an area as it related to Sharia, the threat to America. My tasking was the action section. If all of this stuff that we're writing is true, what are we going to do about it? I wrote the action section for Sharia, the threat to America. And after we reviewed it and gave it careful consideration, we decided not to publish the action section in the book. Anybody have any ideas why?
Well, why give away the playbook before you do it?
But what we also did in composing that book, which was about an 18-month project, as the chapters were written, they went to everyone, and we all edited it and gave our 2 cents. And Claire Lopez, who's been on this show many times, who is retired from the CIA, 20 years, she was the general editor along with Christine Brim. Those two did the yeoman's job and put the book together.
Yes, because it usually is the women.
Yes, it is. The smart women. Both of them are two of the smartest women I know. And two wonderful patriotic women. But John Guandolo did not fall off a pumpkin truck and come in and say, "Hey, I've got a story about Brennan. Yeah, I'm going to tell you about Brennan. He's a Muslim." That's not what happened. And John did not just release this story without the vetting and the consideration of many top caliber national security people. So what John has written, John stands by, and we're going to get into some of that because some of the folks missed it over the weekend. Even though the video, Mark, we're going to want to report from you in a few minutes on the video. The video's gone nuts out there. It went viral within 24 hours, and there's a technical bar you have to meet in order for something to be considered viral. It's sort of the depth of the many sites and all this other capabilities that have to happen. Well, so we decided to interview John and break the story, first time in the world, about John Brennan being a Muslim. But there were other issues there too. And notwithstanding the fact that it was well qualified that on one level it's irrelevant whether or not he's a Muslim, and Zuhdi Jasser, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser has been referenced. Zuhdi is a friend, and he is a Muslim who's practicing a reformed composition of Islam where he's taken political Islam out. Yeah, you can do that if you're a Muslim. You can take it out. You don't have to follow the whole thing. Now, the leading scholars of Islam, like Yosef Qaradari and others, would say, nah, that's not quite Islam anymore. You're making something up. But Zuhdi Jasser spent many years in the United States Navy as a lieutenant. A physician, worked in the Capitol, served his country well. He's a sincere, dedicated American. And in my opinion, what he's following is not pure Islam. It's not doctrinal Islam. And I've had many, many conversations with him.
Zuhdiism.
Yeah, it's Zuhdilam or Zuhdiism or whatever. And certainly, if and I have gotten so many letters from friends that have said, "You guys are ruining it. You're doing this. You're doing that." You know,
ruining what, Tom?
And well, we'll get into that. And but they point to Zuhdi and say, "Look, Brennan may be a Zuhdi Muslim." Right? Well, I have spent a lot of time with Zuhdi, and Zuhdi and I disagree on very little as it relates to American national security. Now, some people say he's doing taqiyya and lying. I don't hold that view, but John Brennan and I agree on nothing, virtually nothing related to national security. So it's apples and oranges. Oh, this is not good. He's trying to squeeze into that. John Brennan and I would agree on virtually nothing related to national security, particularly nothing related to the threat doctrine of classic Islam, of authoritative Islam, of Sharia-compliant jurisprudential Islam. Whereas Zuhdi and I agree on virtually everything related to the threat doctrine of Islam. We call it Sharia Islam. He's a little uncomfortable with that. He calls it political Islam. I understand that designation. Brennan calls it a loving, peaceful relationship hijacked by, he wouldn't even use the word jihadis, by bad people, by Al-Qaeda.
Al-Qaeda.
Hijacked by Al-Qaeda. Hey, folks, this is the guy that's going to run the intelligence apparatus of the national security apparatus of the United States of America, and he can't call a jihad. He can't use the classic definition of jihad that the authoritative doctrines hold in Islam. That is negligence of a culpable matter when you're a sworn officer of the United States of America. Where are the ridiculous Republican senators calling this guy out on not being able to name the enemy the name they give themselves, jihadis?
That's not the only issue. To me, the main issue in the article is that this whole matter of whether he is or isn't a Muslim was affected by an influence operation while Brennan was serving in Saudi Arabia representing the United States of America. So whether it's a conversion to Islam or whether he became a communist in the Soviet Union or whatever it is, the point is the head of the CIA should not be a former victim of an influence operation by a foreign government.
Okay, take that for a second. We're gonna do our opening stuff in a second here, but we got to camp here for a minute.
Well, I have one other point. I think what really jumped out at me, whether he was influenced or not, whether he was a Muslim or not, it just adds more evidence to his overall general thesis that John Brennan has a fundamental misunderstanding of the Islamic threat doctrine. That's the number one key. I don't care if he's from Mars, if he's from Jupiter, and he got raised by Donald Duck. He has a fundamental misunderstanding of the Islamic threat doctrine.
And that was John Guandolo's main point. But that is in the academic hallways of Congress, in the erudite rooms throughout the Senate, where the well-reasoned, dispassionate senators evaluate propositions and find their way to the truth.
Okay,
all this
we are
nonsense,
talking about the United States here, right?
Yeah, exactly. All of that nonsense. That sounds.
That doesn't sound like us.
Yeah, no, that sounds wonderful. But the fact of the matter is, does the United States government run influence operations on top-level officials in other countries to win them over through influence to be sympathetic to our position in an effort to advance our foreign and domestic policies?
I sure hope so.
Oh, you mean spycraft, tradecraft actually works
I sure
in
hope
the spy
so.
industry? Now, do you think other countries might try the same thing?
Yeah, do you think?
And how high have they managed to succeed?
Well, what I want to know is, the FBI sure spent a lot of time investigating who Petraeus may or may not have been sleeping with or emailing with or whatever. Certainly, how come nobody is investigating John Brennan's time in Saudi Arabia and whether or not he was the subject of an influence operation by a foreign government during his tenure there? It's very simple. Shouldn't the senators be asking for an investigation into this? This is really serious.
You see,
It could turn out to be entirely false, but shouldn't somebody out there be making sure?
Wait, it strikes me that last June, almost a year, 9 months or so, 8 months, the diminutive but ironically powerful woman from Minnesota, the congresswoman from Minnesota, Michelle Bachmann, raised the same question regarding the influence operation of the Muslim Brotherhood in this administration, and she named names. She named Uma Abedin and said, I sit on the House Permanent Intelligence Committee, and my job is to watch over our intelligence structures and make sure everything's hunky-dory. And I smell a possible rat, or switching the metaphor. This dog ain't barking, or whatever you want to say. I see there's a red flag. Uma Abedin has a very checkered background and has spent time in Saudi Arabia in Muslim Brotherhood organizations, working with Muslim brothers, came to the United States, went to Georgetown, became part of the Muslim Student Association, and then found her way into the Oval Office, and now is the chief personal advisor and bag lady for the Secretary of State. Has anyone checked her background? And if so, can you tell us about it? And what did John McCain say?
I've known Uma Abedin for years, and she's a great woman, and this is just all fiction.
You see, the Senate...
See, when we see something like that, from John McCain, that's why people scream we need a third party.
Absolutely. I'm getting to the point where maybe all the bums got to get thrown out, because what happens when you are up there too long? I've been involved with Washington for a long time, with many friends who have been elected, and you watch good people get caught by this bug where the importance of the fraternal relationship with fellow senators is more important than the constitutional fabric of the country of America in many respects. You don't want to upset the other side. You want to give, you want to defer to the president's selection of who he wants on his cabinet, and these are sort of de jure items that just occur. Well, folks, we got a problem in this administration. We know it. That's why we exist at Trento Vision here. We got a problem now in the Republican Party. They don't have the balls to ask the tough questions, and we will continue with these stories, even if our friends get mad at us. We will continue with these stories and push this information, and fight us however you may, but you better do it factually. If you don't like our style, too bad. Go get your own radio station, okay? We're here to shake up whatever we can shake up for the sake of the United States of America. Welcome, Tea Party people on Tea Party Community and other great patriots out there. Tom Trento at 20 minutes past 3 o'clock saying hello to everybody. Hello, everybody. Nice to be back. CJ, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Tom.
Hello, how are you? How was your weekend?
It was swell, thank you.
We'll get into that. Mark, say hello to everybody. The disembodied voice.
Hello, Mark.
And Invisible Mike.
Hello.
Everybody's here.
Wearing an especially cute outfit today, I might add.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Even Joe is here, but I think we won't bring too many other names into... we've caused enough people.
We don't fill up the CIA hit list too far.
We've caused enough trouble for people in our local near circles. Anyway, TrentoVision.tv is where you're watching us, though you may be on teapartycommunity.com. Is that working? teapartycommunity.com.
I have not checked it yet.
We'll check that out, let you know. And the only reason I ask is teapartycommunity.net.com working is because since we launched a week ago, it has been under massive attack, and the technicians are winning the battle. So it was up yesterday and today. Let me do a little housekeeping on teapartycommunity.com. For those of you who have joined, for those of you who have been knocked off or banned and barred, hang in there. The Tea Party community folks found it necessary to put in some significant security filters that are filtering out the good guys, including the bad guys, almost like when you get medicine for an illness. It kills the good stuff and the bad stuff. Find your way back. They are adjusting the filters to keep the trolls out and the botnets out, all of that, and let the good guys in. So that may be by invitation, but hang in there. It's over 100,000 people today. Watchdog Wire, our good friend Watchdog Swire, they did a national story on Tea Party Community. They mentioned us in there as the launching
so did
vehicle.
BizPac.
BizPac did a story.
BizPacReview.com.
Yep, and we understand that Fox News may be doing a significant story in the near future. So Tea Party community is going to be it's a club, okay? It's a club for serious people, people who believe the Constitution is dead, 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 like Justice Scalia. He said it's dead, dead, dead. Politicians change, the Constitution stays the same. Get used to it. If you like that kind of stuff, join Tea Party community. We're organizing people to recapture constitutional understanding of the United States of America, which means you investigate guys that got rolled over by the Saudis, particularly when they want to be the guy in charge of running the spies for America around the world. Seems like common sense to me.
I think.
And when you look at it, you look at, all right, what did Brennan do when he was with Obama? So now we start digging a little deeper and trying to find out what happened when he was with Obama. Was there any type of influence or something, hanky going on with him when he was in Obama? Because at first, we have no reason to look at him, and now this thing in the UK. Do you want to go into that story?
Yeah. Oh no, we got a lot to do.
So
we're just getting it off our chest, okay? Because I've been looking at emails all weekend, and we'll
and unbeknownst to us, an email a story comes out of the UK that just kind of rocks us, and we're going, oh, now it makes sense. Go ahead, Tom. Tell me about
there's another significant development that the Daily Mail published a story last night that relates to this and adds a little more clarity. But for those who don't like us and don't like what we do, it's a bigger conspiracy now. You could say all that as long as you want, but we have serious people doing deep investigation and no answers coming from many of the principals involved in the Benghazi massacre, involved in the overthrow of Gaddafi in Libya. All this stuff relates, folks, and it goes right back to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, President Obama. He is the depository of all the Arab Spring insanity that is occurring, in particular, anything initiated, endorsed, or motivated by the Muslim Brotherhood. He is at the center of that. And John Brennan is his right-hand man, his primary national security advisor. And if you don't know, Mark was referring and alluding to earlier, John Brennan joined the election campaign for President Obama in 2008. He had been retired from government work. He was in the private sector, and President Obama reached out for him, interestingly enough, as a fellow traveler. Yeah, as a fellow traveler and a national security advisor during the campaign to advise President Obama as to how he should manage international affairs, foreign policy, Islamic jihad, all of that. And do you think, it's hitting me right now, do you think it's just a coincidence that his first overseas presentation, significant presentation, in June of 2009 was to the school that John Brennan attended? Oh no, he went to South.
No. He didn't go to Al-Azhar.
No. I think he went to American University.
American University.
That's where he spoke from. I think Obama spoke from American University. I don't think he spoke from Al-Azhar. Check to see if he spoke from Al-Azhar.
Al-Azhar co-sponsored it.
They co-sponsored
That's what was it. Yeah, that's right. He did speak at American University there.
But I think he was at the campus of American University, and I'm pretty sure that's where John Brennan went to school. That would be an interesting little dot to connect.
Let's verify that before we...
Now, here's the deal. When 19 guys flew airplanes into...
Well, it was Cairo University.
Cairo University?
Yeah, Cairo University is where the president's from.
So he spoke at Cairo University in Cairo.
Co-sponsored by
Al-Azhar.
Yeah.
Okay, he had all the Al-Azhar guys there.
Yeah.
And Brennan, check Brennan. I think Brennan went to American University in Cairo. Pretty sure he studied there. On September 11th, 2001, when 19 guys flew into two buildings in New York, one building in Washington and the dirt thanks to the first responders in the war on terror. There was criticism of the intelligence community, the law enforcement community, and the military community that no one connected the dots. Well, that's a nice euphemism. No one connected the dots. But when you have to connect dots, a dot is a little tiny bit of data.
American University.
So John Brennan attended American University in Cairo.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Connecting dots. A dot is a tiny little piece. The metaphor simply stands for a bunch of dots on a table. When you connect them, you see a picture. Something comes out of that. Well, when you take this individual little tiny piece of data and talk about it out of context, you could seem like a whack job. Okay? I mean, like, this guy went to American University, and that guy, and they had the thing there in Cairo University. You conspiratorialist. Well, let's dig down a little more. That's what's required of people in our intelligence community. We want them to err on the side of exhausting all the material, not avoiding the material because they're going to be accused of being politically correct.
Right.
But where do things stand today in this administration?
It's just, I mean, when you start the preponderance of the evidence, you just look at all the other surroundings of Obama, all his other past dealings, and where this is going in the American Spring. Why is that? Benghazi. What happened in Benghazi? What was the whole operation behind that? Who was involved? Why did Syria all of a sudden get a whole bunch of weapons and guns supplied on the Muslim Brotherhood? Where did they come from? Who was in charge of that? Look at the State Department with Abedin. What's Hillary's role been with the relation to the Muslim Brotherhood? And you start just going boom, picking them off one by one.
It's the dots. They're all
there.
All we're doing, folks, we're connecting them, and we'll grant, for the sake of the argument, when you're discussing one or two dots in and of themselves, it can seem like a stretch. Well, too bad. That's the way we approach everything. We try to evaluate every little dot, put them all together, then see a pattern. So John Guandolo...
It's like a police officer putting together evidence for a crime.
It's called an investigation.
And you're looking at the evidence. Okay, well, there's a hair follicle over here. Well, there's fingerprint over here. Well, there's DNA over here. Well, there's a weapon over here. Well, there's gun, and there's a breaking the doors down over here, and you put it all together, and you come up. Oh, okay. Well, I see the whole picture now.
And there's a body of work. There's
right.
Years of public statements out there that give one pause before this man was even in a position to influence national security and foreign policy. He was out there making statements that would make anybody
pull your hair out,
say, wait a minute, are you, whose side are you on? Are you from America? Where are you from?
Oh, you know how many emails I got? People saying, oh my word, this makes sense now. Yeah, let's bring Robbie on.
Yeah, it's like and then this last thing
so that comes first. Then you see the evidence of how did he conduct his tenure as a counterterrorism advisor.
Let's bring Robbie on. He's been on hold for a while.
Right.
And that he's
Robbie
a Muslim is just one more piece of that puzzle.
We're going to talk to Robbie.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Robbie. How you doing? You with Tom, CJ, Mike, and Mark?
Oh, great. Finally, glad to talk to you, Tom and crew. How is everybody?
We're doing great. We are laying the groundwork for a fascinating... Actually, we're going to be on this and a couple of other issues for 3 days because John Brennan, the vote is on Thursday, and we're trying to wake America up. This guy should not be the head of the CIA. But what are your thoughts?
I agree wholeheartedly with that. I was listening to your Friday program on Saturday morning as I was not around on Friday till Stewart. So anyway, I heard a lot of debate about Obama being a Muslim. Well, I need to inform you that in his book, his own autobiography, Audacity of Hope, he confirms he's a Muslim. He says he will stand with the Muslims no matter what. And I wanted to clarify that with you, okay, because I heard a lot of debate about that that you were kind of surprised that Obama was a Muslim. Well, he wrote his own autobiography, and it's in there, and I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, well, thank you. If I seemed surprised about that, it was probably the theatrical side of Tom Trento, because I've gone on record quite a bit over the past 4 years to quote that particular verse line out of his book in context, and we'll pull it up now because I think it bears repeating.
Sure. And there's one more thing,
sure.
too. I mean, if you go back to World War II and Hitler days, if you remember, back then, I wasn't born yet, but I know my history. Islam and communism go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the way it's been. It's probably the way it's always going to be in this current world that we're in right now. And that's all I wanted to say. I have to go to therapy, so I'm not.
Probably not a good one. I hope
physical
it's foot
therapy, right?
Physical therapy.
Okay, that's good.
I hurt my back.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Thank you, Robbie.
I'm not going to therapy. I'm going to physical therapy to actually work my muscles.
There
Okay,
you go.
thanks. Because half our callers go to mental health therapy.
And
with
the
us
other
all
half
night.
me too.
All right, thanks, Robbie. We'll see you.
You have a great day, and God bless.
All right, thank
Okay?
you very,
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Of course, Obama has many times himself claimed to be a Christian, but we know what kind that is, sitting in Jeremiah Wright's church. Probably a non-Christian Christian.
Yeah, exactly. And the Robbie statement about Islam and communism being very similar, very, very similar political systems.
Yeah.
Epistemological systems, they're a little different in terms of their foundation. One has a God in it, one doesn't. But the political process to get from point A to point B, controlling a human being, is very, very similar. So, but the other one's more lethal.
Totalitarianism is what we're looking at here.
And when you have a theocratic totalitarianism that rewards you in the afterlife, you just run amok of communism, because if you can be totalitarian and make it to heaven, that's better than being totalitarian and becoming, as Bertrand Russell said, a banquet for the worms. And that's what pure communism is. It's atheistic, no God, and you become a banquet for the worms. Yes, who do we have next?
Yes, next we have Roger on the line.
Roger, how are you? Which Roger
I'm
is this?
doing well, Tom. Hi, CJ, Mark, and Mike. I just had to dial in on this, okay? I did pull a lot of my hair out on Friday. Actually, I wasn't able to hear the call on Friday, and I turned your show on Saturday and listened to the archive version, but didn't realize it was Saturday. So I dialed into the station and was informed what day of the week it is. I felt really silly.
How to win a war, huh?
Yeah, exactly. They got to be paying attention to what's going on. But this absolutely drives me nuts, and I think it's really important that people do connect the dots, as what you said, Tom. If they don't connect the dots and they don't realize everything, we're just going to miss the boat on this. It's essential that people realize everything that's going on. It's not just Yuma Abedin that got security clearance. Okay, it's not just John Brennan. It's not just Keith Ellison. It's not just Obama's background. It's everything cumulative. And then when you pile on top of that the Muslim Brotherhood's own admission that their intent and settlement process here in America is to sabotage and destroy us, our miserable house from within. I mean, God Almighty, what more do we need? Does Obama physically have to drive a tank into Washington, D.C. and take pot shots at our national monument? He just gave...
I see that picture. Hey, Mort, I got a drawing for you, Mort.
He wants to hang the black flag of Islam over the White House. That is the goal of the Muslim Brotherhood. That's what they tell you. If you ask them, they will be honest about
Roger,
it.
I follow in your shadow. My job is to stop that from happening, okay? And I follow your lead. As you know, I try to work as closely as I can, and I try to be as effective as I can. You are certainly... You and the whole crew there. When I say Tom Trento, I am not excluding Mark and Mike and CJ. You guys do a phenomenal job, and I'm so proud to even know you. But it's sickening that people are not connecting these dots. We've just got to make people aware. I don't know how to do it. Just look at the facts. It's not like we're crazy people. Look at the facts. The Muslim Brotherhood said that they're going to destroy us. The settlement process. Settlement.
Yep.
This country's already been settled.
Yep.
We don't need another.
No, Roger,
settlement.
your quick analysis. Again, we've been doing this a long time, and I've heard everything you can possibly hear. But your quick analysis just now, as you walked through the various data points, and then concluded by saying, "And the Brotherhood has a written plan. What more do we need?" You made so much sense in a minute that what boggles my mind is why a skilled senator who's been up there 6, 12, 18 years, and is a good person, can't find their tongue and say, Mr. Brennan, we got a real question on your understanding of Islamic Jihad and the Muslim Brotherhood. There's a guy in Melbourne by the name of Roger, and he said that the Muslim Brotherhood has a plan to influence officials in the United States government to make them think differently about the true definition of jihad. Do you believe that jihad is a concept that's defined by Muslim Islamic doctrine, or do you have your own personal definition of jihad? How about that as a question? The guy's sunk. He's completely sunk.
Question, okay, and
I would
don't think that
faint if I
anybody's
heard
really
a
asking him.
senator say jihad to begin with.
I mean, think about this for a second. If you say you're asking us to nominate you, Mr. Brennan, as the top spy in the world, in the only superpower in the world, which means you have a not only moral, but a sworn professional obligation to understand what communism means. You have a sworn professional obligation to understand what fascism means. A sworn obligation to understand what fill in the blank. Then you ask him, do you have a sworn professional obligation to understand what jihad means? Yes. Here's what he would answer. Yes. Okay. Does the meaning you derive from jihad come from your personal study, or does it come from the doctrines of the authoritative leaders historically of Islam? Let's find out where your answer comes from before we hear your answer. Where does it come from? And if he says, well, it comes from my own personal study, then you go, you fail. You cannot be.
You have to go to school, man.
You cannot be the head of the CIA and not understand the threat doctrine from the enemy as detailed, as written, as described by the enemy. You fail. You're out of here. Get out of here. Next. That's what I would tell him.
Yeah.
You know, I want to say one other thing, Tom. I send a lot of emails out. I do a lot of other, activity, as you know, okay? But email I've got a pretty large downline, and I sign many, not all, but many of my emails with the following comment. The integrity of the White House has been compromised, and our country is under siege. The enemy is in our midst. Taking that two sentences into consideration, I have a lot of people that tell me that they don't understand why Obama is doing what he's doing. And my answer is, it makes perfect sense.
Sure, exactly.
What he's doing, if you consider him, or if you take the concept that he is, in fact, the enemy with all the word implies. With every bit of what the word enemy means, what Obama is doing suddenly begins to make sense. You yourself, did, as far as the infiltration into our government, you yourself interviewed Gary Johnson. Okay, and at least it was on the website.
It was on it, yeah. I think Mark or somebody interviewed
the interview. But they
I got 30
Gary
seconds with you, Roger. We got a couple of people backed up. So
he didn't even know who our enemies were. And
yeah,
he was running
exactly.
for
That's
president
right.
of the United States.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. So, all right, man. Good work as always. I heard great stuff
Really
about
good
your
to
presentation.
hear from you, Roger.
Don't believe a word of it.
Yeah, okay. Good seeing you or talking with you, Roger. That's Roger
Thank
from up
you.
in Melbourne. He does some work with us. He's with Act for America. It's helped out the
God
United
bless you
West.
guys.
All right. God bless
All
you
right,
too,
take
sir.
care. Have a good
Bye-bye.
week.
Who do we have next there,
Up
CJ?
next, we have Howie on the line.
Hi,
Hey,
Howie.
Tom?
Yeah, how you doing? You with Tom and everybody else here?
Okay. Mark, how are you?
Doing great, doing great.
You remember me from United American Committee, Jihad Resistance, et cetera, et cetera?
I'm having a hard time hearing you because I'm doing some testing in the background.
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
From
Anyway,
I
when
can't
we
hear
did the radio show with Mark out of Florida, out of Orlando, I was up in Dearborn, Michigan,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
and my name was Tammy Mahmood. I'm Tammy Mahmood from Dearborn, Michigan, and you had better listen to Jihad as I tell you immediately.
Listen up, infidel.
Anyway, I didn't call to be a
Okay.
clown.
Do you have a serious comment or question to make today, Howie?
Well, like we're supposed to be serious, okay?
I believe truly all Muslim men
We have to have at least one adult in the room when we're on the radio,
Yes.
and we
That's not us.
nominate you.
That's not us.
Yeah, you're the
Thank you
adult
so
for the
much.
hour.
What I wanted to tell you is I just, sitting here in front of your live broadcast watching Tom, got a letter from a congressman here in North Carolina, and he is hot on the trail to impeach Obama and also to get him for starting wars. He's trying to pass a House bill. What I would tell Tom on the air, I don't want to get into my writing 10,000 articles under the name of Mujram and Muhammad on the internet, et cetera, but I want to make it clear to everybody that Congress is finally waking up. They're just afraid of being whacked. That's why you don't see anybody raising their hands, because they know these incidents happen and they can be taken out. They're also very much afraid of a suicide bomber getting into the congressional quarters. So, but there is a small group meeting secretly, and I'm in touch with them here in North Carolina.
Okay, well, keep us informed on that. Impeachment. Well, let me let you go because we got another person. Thanks for calling, Howie, and we'll take another person in a second. We've heard for a long time impeachment of the president.
Right.
If there's grounds for doing that somewhere, and I think there are grounds, several different ways. I mean, Andy McCarthy, no one less than Andy McCarthy, has said that it's possible that President Obama's behavior on Benghazi is impeachable because, folks, you hear us saying here all the time, these individuals, particularly at these high-level positions, have a professional obligation. It's when you fly an airplane, if you're a captain of a 777, you have a professional obligation to know how all the instruments work, okay? It's critically more important when you're running the CIA that you have a professional obligation. And if you don't fulfill that, then there is federal law that can be applied. And in the case of the president, you can be impeached. Problem is, he runs the DOJ, and the House Republicans are a bunch of little wimps right now. I mean, they're just scared to do anything if they can't find their voice on this. CJ, bring in whoever we have next.
Okay, we have Judah on the line.
Yes, good afternoon to all you guys.
Happy Monday, Judah. Happy Monday.
Yes, happy Monday to you, Tom, and everybody there. I was listening to Roger from Melbourne, and as he was talking, it occurred to me that besides everything he was saying was right on, that it occurred to me that the first mosque here in the United States came 6 years after the Muslim Brotherhood was established in Egypt. I don't think that's any coincidence based upon their whole plan. But the reason I called, I wanted to ask a question, and it has conclusions as you can draw from the question. And I think this would probably be a good question for either General Vallely or Claire Lopez. Okay, we're told by outgoing Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and others that global jihad is on the rise, Al-Qaeda is on the rise. We now have Al-Qaeda not only in Pakistan but in North Africa and in Mali, and in the Arabian Peninsula, and it's increasing. All right, the Al-Qaeda is on the rise; they're increasing. So is global jihad. And now we're told also that were told that the administration, that President Obama has been successful in killing more terrorists than anybody else, and that the number of drone attacks are increasing, which we know is a fact. And I understand that it's
Judy, you got to give us your question.
Okay, I'm getting to that. Here's the question: if the number of terrorists that are killed or has drastically increased, then I have to conclude that either the drone attacks are not quite effective in eliminating the enemy, or I have to admit that the administration are a bunch of liars. Because how could it be that there's such an increase in Al-Qaeda all over the place, and these drone attacks are really doing the trick? I mean, the two don't jive. You get my drift?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, we do.
It is the scam that the president is perpetrating on the peasants that have voted for him and worship at his knee.
Except the peasants who worship at his knee really don't like the drone attacks because they don't actually want us out there killing any enemies, even if we're only killing one instead of hundreds of thousands the way we should be.
Isn't that funny when they start to eat their own? They're starting to eat their own.
Yeah.
But it's.
I think it's really funny when we're on the same side as Code Pink.
Yeah, exactly.
That just chuffs me.
I mean, it's certainly a contradiction, Judah. You've identified a contradiction that the national security credentials of the president have been elevated to the degree of one of these Roman emperors, in their wartime skill, wartime management skill, and he's got this drone program, and he's killing Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda's decimated, and we've pulled out of Iraq. We're pulling out of Afghanistan. All of that are talking points. What does that mean, and what has been the net effect in terms of on-the-ground facts? That's what the peasants don't want to know, because think about this for a second. To the degree that the president can satisfy the physical and financial needs of the peasants, the 47% that Mitt Romney identified, plus a few more, to the degree he can keep them ameliorated, keep them quiet, and they like him, so he has that psychological advantage. As long as he takes from the rich to give to the peasants, it is typically, historically, the peasant class that rises up in revolution. And because the wealthy people, they got a cushion where they can put up with a bunch of stuff. They know how to take their money, put it offshore when there's particularly in a democracy where in a few years we'll get by this lunatic. If he continues to give goodies to the peasant class in America, and if he brings more illegals in, makes them part of the peasant class, then he will always keep the revolutionary class at bay, and the intellectuals, the producers, aren't typically going to revolt because they still got their businesses. They may have to make a little less of a profit. They may have to cut a few people out. Obama has this figured out with his socialist policies. So his foreign policy, when it doesn't make sense logically, is irrelevant to 52% of the people. It's because they're just looking for the amelioration, the goodies from the emperor. And I'm calling this monarchical terrorism that the president is propagating on the true believers in this country. In fact, I'm speaking tonight on a subject like that. But that's why we have to be on the air elucidating, investigating, analyzing, and shaking people up. Now we just need to shake up the Republicans, and it may be too late to do that. I don't know.
I just have to disagree with you a little bit. I just have to disagree with you a little bit, Tom.
You could disagree
a
lot if you want.
Yeah. I think it's not the peasants who initiate the uprising. I think it's the middle class and the intellectuals of the middle class in particular who instigate the lower classes to revolt. And I think if you look around the world, that's pretty much historically true.
Well, he's blurring the middle class and the peasants. He's making them all one big group now. So there's where the distinction goes away.
I see.
So, all right, thanks, Judah.
In any event, the emperor has no clothes.
Yeah, well, we knew that. We knew that when he spoke in 2004 at the Democratic National Convention.
Yes, we did. Yeah, and then I woke up in Seattle the next day, and all of a sudden I saw Obama bumper stickers next to everybody's free Tibet bumper stickers on their cars, and I said, "Oh crap, we're really in for it now."
Screwed now. Free Tibet and buy
Free
Obama.
Tibet and Obama.
Oh,
I'm like, oh no.
All right, thanks, Judah.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Have
ladies
a
and
good
gentlemen,
day.
that was our opening. That was our 5-minute opening, okay?
Yeah.
We are here, Tom Trento Vision, broadcasting out of WNN 1470 in Boca Raton, Florida. That's where you're listening to us on the radio side. If you're hip, if you're a hipster, if you're sleek and smart and smooth, you are just eye-hearting it. You are eye-hearting it, at least when you're not by your radio. You're listening to us on your very smartphones because you're a smart individual. iHeart Radio. Go to South Florida, WNN, push the little button, put in your name, a couple little data items, and you can we can go with you wherever you go, 3 to 6 East Coast time, anywhere on the globe, if your phone works. So that's pretty cool. And if you are really with it and watching this show, and we have some surprises for you in the future. I am looking at 18,000 pieces of equipment all over the floor of our little radio studio.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle in here, isn't it? And it smells like socks, too.
Mark has been bartering like crazy and securing us some fancy-dancy equipment as we move more toward producing a television-type show. And so we got some surprises for you down the road.
You know those like prisoner of war breakout movies from World War II? You know, like The Great Escape and all those movies. There's always one scrounger in the barracks.
Yeah, there he is.
You know?
There he is.
I'm James Garner.
I'm James Garner. You need Adolf Hitler's passport? No problem. Got that right here.
Mark can get it if you need that.
I've been compared to that character
you need
many
a boat
times.
to sail out of here? No problem. I can get you a boat.
If you need something, Mark can get it for you, but he's going to have to get it for you after we take this short break. See you later.
Yeah.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Hi, I'm Duke Liberatore.
And I'm Dr. Jan McBarron.
We're a husband and wife team.
And together we host the #1 health talk show in the nation,
Duke and the Doctor.
You can hear our show weekday mornings at 10 here on WNN AM 1470 Health and Wealth Radio.
We'll discuss up-to-date health news, give away gifts, share a laugh or two, and answer health questions from our callers.
So if you are ready to start feeling happy, healthy, and terrific, then tune in to Duke and the Doctor.
Weekday mornings at 10 on WNN AM 1470.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mike. If living healthier longer is your goal, you should join me on my radio show, Healthy Talk, every Wednesday at 1 o'clock on AM 1470, WNN, brought to you by the Life Extension Foundation.
The staff of Cocoa Fit Club reminds our women listeners that breast and cervical cancer are very serious issues. Many women are diagnosed each year with these silent predators, so please schedule a complete physical and screenings today. Don't put it off. Early detection is key to increasing survival. Sponsored by Rob and the folks at Cocoa Fit Club, 6290 West Sample Road, Coral Springs, offering complete workout programs and weight management programs. Call 954-796-2202 or online at cocofitclub.com.
This is Health and Wealth Radio, AM 1470, WWNN Pompano Beach, and WKIS HD3, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Hi, I'm Clint Black. Have you heard of Rett syndrome? I hadn't until my niece Courtney was diagnosed. Rett syndrome is a neurological disorder which occurs mostly in girls. It's often misdiagnosed as autism or cerebral palsy. Rett syndrome strikes without warning. A girl with Rett syndrome starts out as a happy, healthy baby until 6 or 18 months of age, when something goes terribly wrong. She loses the ability to speak, use her hands to play with toys, or even feed herself. She may also lose the ability to walk. A girl with Rett syndrome makes constant hand washing or hand wringing movements. By the time she is 3 years old, a girl with Rett syndrome is severely handicapped. The International Rett Syndrome Foundation hopes to find the families affected by this devastating disorder and provide care and research that will make a difference. Research is urgently needed to accelerate treatments and find a cure. Please call 1-800-818-7388 or visit rettsyndrome.org today. Your help is our hope.
There's just one place where students are students first, and athletics are played with purpose and perspective. There's just one place where a team is more than a group of individual agendas. It's a catalyst for demonstrating the potential of the collaborative spirit. There's just one place where players, coaches, and fans experience the exhilaration that happens when an entire community rallies behind the school team. That place is your local high school. High school sports offer more than the joy of competition. Studies show that student athletes are more likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in other areas of their lives, including academics. In addition, high school sports help young people in Florida develop the discipline and confidence they need to be leaders in life, even as they unite communities like nothing else. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
IRN USA Radio News, I'm Hope Duggar. President Obama is sending his best wishes to Pope Benedict and to those who will soon gather to choose his successor. Here's correspondent Mark Smith.
In a written statement, the president says he and the First Lady warmly remember meeting Benedict in 2009 and extend their appreciation and prayers on behalf of Americans everywhere. Obama says he enjoyed his work with the Pope over the years and sends good wishes to the cardinals who will soon be gathering to choose the next pontiff.
President Obama has bestowed the Medal of Honor upon an Army veteran for his courageous leadership during a day-long firefight in Afghanistan. Obama presented the medal to former Staff Sergeant Clinton Romeshay today in a White House ceremony attended by the military's top leaders and former Medal of Honor recipients. During a 2009 battle in the mountains near the Pakistan border, U.S. troops were far outnumbered. Romeshay was peppered with shrapnel from a rocket-propelled grenade but fought through his wounds. This is IRN USA Radio News.
Ladies, are any of these symptoms familiar? Weight gain, hot flashes, rapid heartbeat, night sweats? How about fatigue, nausea, low energy? Or what about sleeplessness, low libido, and fat storage, especially around the belly area? If you're a woman over 40 experiencing any of these symptoms, you probably have hormonal imbalance. And until you balance your hormones, it'll be practically impossible to get rid of these problems. But you're in luck because Amberen is the all-natural formula clinically shown to cause sustained weight loss in women over 40 with no big change in lifestyle. Amberen restores hormonal imbalance in women over 40, so the extra pounds fall away and the other symptoms simply disappear. To receive a complimentary risk-free trial with a free 30-day supply, just be one of the first 50 callers right now at 1-800-727-6808. Free supplies are limited, so be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-727-6808. That's 1-800-727-6808.
Senate Democrats are pushing ahead with a vote tomorrow on Chuck Hagel's nomination to be Defense Secretary. They're rejecting Republican demands for more financial information from Hagel. The Senate Armed Services Committee was supposed to vote last week, but it was put off amid growing complaints from Republicans. A memorial service is underway in Texas for Chris Kyle, a former Navy SEAL sniper. Authorities say he was killed earlier this month at a shooting range by a former Marine he was trying to help. Kyle completed 4 tours of duty in Iraq and wrote the best-selling book American Sniper. Military pallbearers carried his flag-draped coffin into Cowboy Stadium in Arlington today as several thousand people looked on. His funeral service is scheduled for tomorrow. Nearly 140,000 homes and businesses across New England and New York are still waiting for the electricity to come back on in the aftermath of a storm that dumped up to 3 feet of snow on Friday and Saturday. Meanwhile, drivers are still encountering unplowed streets and snowbanks so high that it's hard to see around corners. For the latest news and analysis, log on to IRNUSAnews.com.
Valentine's Day is this week, and Pro Flowers is offering an amazing last-minute deal. 1 dozen gorgeous red roses, plus a free glass vase, a free teddy bear, and a free box of chocolates for just $39.99. But hurry, because it could be nearly impossible to find roses on Valentine's Day. And this incredible last-minute deal expires Wednesday. The only way to get this amazing deal is to visit proflowers.com. Click on the microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code ROSE14. That's secret code ROSE14.
A $1 million reward has prompted numerous tips to authorities seeking a fired Los Angeles police officer suspected of killing 3 people. Police say hundreds of clues are being investigated. The search for former officer Christopher Dorner is continuing in the Big Bear area of the San Bernardino Mountains, where his pickup truck was found torched last week, but there's been no sighting of him there. A new report says 1 in 5 consumers had an error in a credit report issued by a major agency. Correspondent Ed Donahue has more from Washington.
The report from the Federal Trade Commission looked at more than 1,000 reports from the big credit agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. It says 5% of consumers identified errors in their reports that could lead to higher payments for mortgages, car loans, and other products. The message from the FTC is to check your credit report. The report also found 20% of consumers had an error that was corrected by a reporting agency after it was disputed. Some had their credit scores changed as a result.
The Department of Veterans Affairs says it has added more than 1,000 mental health professionals and 200 support staff to meet the needs of returning veterans, but still has more to do to meet a requirement set by President Obama. The VA still needs to hire about 550 more doctors, nurses, and counselors by June 30th to comply with an executive order that Obama issued last August. The VA announced its hiring program shortly before an Inspector General's report found the department had overstated how quickly it provided mental health care to veterans seeking help. The House Committee on Veterans Affairs is holding a hearing Wednesday to examine what progress has been made since that report. With IRN, U.S.
Here's some great news from Tom Trento, host of the daily WNN Trento Vision Show. Due to the unparalleled success of the Trento Vision Show, you now have an amazing opportunity to advertise on the Trento Vision Show. If you want more information about this excellent opportunity for your business, please contact Tom Trento at 561-319-5533, or you can email him, tom@trentovision.tv. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trento Vision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or tom@trentovision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and trentovision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Hello, everybody. Okay, hello, everybody. Oh, it's not working. Kenny, it's not working. Hello, hello. Hello. Come on, turn the thing on. Okay, here we go. I thought iPhones can do everything. Hello, 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 hello. There we go. Okay, now why do I look at the iPhone?
To check on your Walking Dead app?
That's an
The
in-house.
zombies are coming. The
The
zombies
are back.
coming.
Oh
They're
my
back.
God, all is right in the world.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take a second. Everybody, but are you involved in that whole
I
stuff?
am not
Okay.
involved in the zombies.
Everybody in this building is except CJ and me, is a zombiac. What you
Walking
explain?
Dead. Walking Dead. The new season has officially started yesterday. Go watch your reruns. It is an awesome season this year.
You do Walking Dead? You like that, right?
I do. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Well, we got enough Walking Dead in Washington D.C., so I don't need to be
plenty
watching.
of zombies.
Yeah, enough zombies there.
Yeah.
We don't need to be screwing with more. But from what I understand, as we the water cooler talk about The Walking Dead is just like, oh man, did you see it? Did you see that guy? Oh, hey, kids.
Yeah.
All right, you're back with Tom Trento. Trento Vision, WNN 1470 on the radio side, but we just don't settle for the radio side. We want to give you a treat for your eyes. As Mort says it, music for your ears, beauty for your nose, and food for your belly. That's what he calls us. We're going to do a little Mort thing in a second, too.
We are?
Yeah, you're going to tell people about the contest, that we're the status, where we are.
No. The status is that we have to have a meeting about this.
We're evaluating all the entries, and this week we will have a winner picked, and we will call somebody, and because that's on our agenda. And for those of you just tuning in, this is, as I said, Tom Trento, Trento Vision. I direct an organization called The United West. TheUnitedWest.org. No, it's not an airlines, and it's not a fan club for Alan West. It is an idea, the United West, that in order to defeat Islamic Jihad, which consists of jihadis from 56, now 57 nations, forming a Islamic ummah, an Islamic family, not viewing geographical boundaries in any substantive way in terms of their chief aim in life, establishing world domination through conversion to Islam, through submitting to Islam, through death to Islam. At least that's what these guys say. John Brennan may argue with that.
Yes.
But we, the United West, stand against that, uniting the West, the countries that have a Judeo-Christian worldview upon which they build their ethical principles, their political policies, and their social interaction. Two different worlds. Two completely different worlds. If you don't think so, take your little Jewish or your little Christian self, take a ride to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and say, hey guys, where do I catch the bus to Mecca? And see how that works. Or tell you what, you and your girlfriends, your sorority sisters, take a little trip to Cairo, and then go have tea at Tahrir Square tonight or tomorrow night, and hang around with the guys there and see how that works out for you. How about Yemen? Why doesn't, I don't know, the JCC or a few people from AIPAC take a ride to Yemen and say, hey, we're Jewish people, we love the world, we like to come here and put a synagogue up. See how that works for you. But can a person from Yemen come to Israel and worship in a mosque?
Absolutely.
Two different worlds, folks.
Absolutely.
One is inclusive, one is exclusive. We in the West are inclusive to a fault. And that's part of what this show is about, warning people that there has to be some discretion, some intelligent filtering of individuals who say they want to come to America for the benefit of America, when in fact they have a political plan to destroy America. And if an individual who doesn't understand that wants to be the head of the CIA, we say, are you out of your freaking mind?
Yeah, when somebody who wants to be the head of the CIA thinks that jihad is a journey of self-discovery, then I'm sorry, you're not qualified.
You're not qualified.
You're not qualified.
So we deal with national security issues here on Trento Vision, and we make jihad fun in the sense that we have to laugh at the absurdity of some of what we deal with. We have to laugh at ourselves at times.
Which we do a lot.
But we are professionals, very adept, skilled at what we do. At least others tell us that. And we put a tremendous amount of work into this. The circus doesn't stay on the road by our mere looks alone. That's for sure. But we do need your shekels and your lira and your pounds and your dollar bills to help us. So you can go to TrentoVision.tv and please make a generous donation. It is tax deductible. The United West also, you can go there. Donate securely, theunitedwest.org. That's our counterterrorism educational website. If you go to the United West, you can find out about me, others. We have a whole host of videos, some investigative videos, some exposés. We have Frank Gaffney's 10-part series on the Muslim Brotherhood. You want to do something? I want to get involved. Go to the United West. On our homepage, Frank Gaffney has a Muslim Brotherhood overview, 10 parts, about 13 hours of material. Start watching an hour a day, and in 2 weeks you'll know more about national security in the Muslim Brotherhood than John Brennan does. Okay?
You know what?
I promise you that.
Yeah, you brought up AIPAC. I got to tell you, this event at FAU tomorrow singles out AIPAC.
Yes.
In their invite. And I'll just read you real quickly the last paragraph. It says, another interesting and very important topic of discussion involves AIPAC's role in influencing our universities, including minority student groups and student government officials. This is done in a clandestine effort to create a pro-Israel campus leadership base at the expense of the overall interests of the student body. Josh will offer some suggestions as to what we can do to prevent such unwanted external interventions in our universities. Yeah.
You think AIPAC will be there? I'll be there.
I would like to speak to somebody from AIPAC and ask them, have you been paying attention to what's happening in Boca Raton, Florida, on the campus of FAU? I mean, what do you think? You think you people can just hold dinners for congressmen and raise money for them and say Israel is a swell country, vote for them in Congress?
And Josh Rubner, the individual that is speaking tomorrow night, is a heavily credentialed former government employee and worked on the Hill. So he's doing an I.O. up there.
Josh will conduct a teach-in on the exceptional yet destructive U.S.-Israel relationship. In particular, he will expose the role of AIPAC and the greater Zionist lobby in disproportionately influencing U.S. policy on the Middle East.
Yep. Our own Mark, the disembodied Mark, and Alan confronted Josh just a few months ago up in Orlando, and Josh didn't like it. We'll hear about that. What we're doing here, folks, for those of you just tuning in at 4:15 on the East Coast, you're listening on WNN 1470. That's the radio side of our simulcast. We're also broadcasting a video signal on TrentoVision.tv, and our new communication partner, teapartycommunity.com. teapartycommunity.com. Go there. Also on Trento Vision or YouTube. I'm giving you so many ways you can watch. YouTube.com/The United West. All one word. You can watch there. Mm-hmm. And on Trento Vision, you can do the social chat thing. It's really interesting to follow. So feel free to get involved. You can call the show. We didn't even give out a number yet. You can call the show. What is the number, CJ?
The number is 888-565-1470.
888-565-1470. Feel free to give us a call if you want to discuss. In particular, over today, we're going to discuss the John Brennan situation. We're going to bring you new information right now. And we're going to tell you in the third hour, 5 to 6 hour, about the debacle over at Florida Atlantic University, where we tried to confront the Gaza jihadis last Wednesday, February 6th. And the Florida Atlantic University police stood in our way. And we're going to be visiting Florida Atlantic University tomorrow night to confront this guy, Josh Rubner. When I say confront, I mean to confront. To go there, put a camera in the room, record what he says, and then ask very tough questions. Like they're supposed to do in the Senate, but they don't. That's what we're going to do. And as I understand it, you're allowed to do that kind of stuff on a college campus, aren't you?
Yes.
Or like what real reporters are supposed to do is get to the bottom of a story and why this is all happening. What was your involvement in Benghazi? What was your involvement with the Obama administration? Where was President Obama? Did you have communication with? Where was General Petraeus in all this? What was his involvement in it? There's a million just obvious questions that any reporter with a grain of salt of anything should be asking.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Okay. Jim, why don't we take one call, and then I'm going to go through some of the material from Friday to spin off into the crazy story today about Petraeus and Brennan, where John Brennan, it looks like he orchestrated what they're calling a palace coup to get Petraeus fired or resigned as the CIA director so that he, John Brennan, can take over as the head of the CIA. That's the thesis of this article.
And we didn't write it.
And we didn't write it. And we had nothing to do with the coordination
I'm
of this
sorry.
article.
Let's not tell anybody about an article that was written in a London publication and is going now all over the world. Let's not talk about that because, I don't know, why shouldn't we talk about it? They don't want us to talk about it.
Because you don't want to rock the boat.
No, we don't want to rock the boat.
Don't want to upset people because, because if you do
what?
nothing...
There is no cuz.
Well, if we do nothing, then he's going to get nominated. And if he gets nominated, you're just going to make him mad. Well, I'm sorry. That's all we do is we make people mad and wake them up. That's what good reporters do.
Yeah, but the intent is not to make people mad. The intent is to get at the truth, and the truth...
Well, if you're a good reporter, you make people mad. Look back in the days when 60 Minutes used to walk in a room, they going, oh my God, here's 60 Minutes.
Okay, every week I watched this, and it was like watching a cartoon, because I would say to myself, okay, if Mike Wallace just walked into my house or my school or
I'm
my
having
place
a bad
of work,
day.
okay, am I going to talk to him? No. Why does anybody talk to him? This is not a good day.
I know. And analogously, hopefully, the United States military makes the enemies mad when they go try to kill them in foreign countries, the jihadis. So, but this administration wants to calibrate that down so that the killing doesn't make them as mad, or that the killing is so selective, Al-Qaeda, so selective that the people are duped thinking we are dealing with terrorism when the threat doctrine of Islamic terrorism is ignored. That's this administration's failure, which is why we are trying to call John Owen Brennan.
And you know what?
out.
Even if he is a shoo-in as the nominee, because it's a
It looks
Democrat
that way.
Senate
Yeah.
and they have the votes,
Yep.
okay? The point is, we need to get something on the record. Somebody has to be doing some research, some investigation, asking some questions, and then you can force him to resign later after you've done your investigation.
Exactly. I just got an
if that's what you need to do.
I just got an email, and on the emails that we've been sending out, the United West emails promoting the show, or Trento Vision emails, I have a little link to Tea Party Community, because we truly believe that that's a great organizational tool for serious, constitutionally grounded Americans. I just got an email that says, please do not send me any material that promotes the so-called Tea Party. I am a Reagan Republican and regard the Tea Party and the likes of Sarah Palin as a liability to the Republican Party.
Was that Karl Rove? Who was that from, Tom?
Well, I don't want to say his name because I'm
Do you know what? You
respecting
don't
the
have to
privacy.
be. First of all, there is no Tea Party anyway. I don't think. You don't have to consider yourself a member of the Tea Party to post information and share information with other people who are true conservatives and are interested in the economic and foreign affairs of this country.
Right, exactly. I mean,
So let's stop with the silliness.
Well, these are goofy people that don't read anything, but that's okay. No
Okay, you want to take a call?
Yeah, let's take a call.
Okay, let's take a call from Jim.
Jim, Tom, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Good,
Calling
doing pretty
from
good.
Kansas City, Kansas. I was listening to John Grandola.
John Guandola.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he hits the nail right on the head. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I took an oath, as he did, to protect this country from domestic and foreign enemies. The thing that gets me, too, is since Obama, and I will not call him president because I don't respect him as a president, since Obama, we have had such an attack on this country and its Constitution. I've never in my life, I'm 65 years old, I've never in my life seen such an official do such damage to a country. He's the first one to make us lose on our credit rating. He's the first black, but he hasn't done anything as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not saying anything about his color. I don't mind a Mexican being our president if they can do what needs to be done for this country.
Well, I don't think a Mexican can be president, can he?
Well, I'm just saying, of Mexican descent, whatever.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, just like you said a while ago about the Tea Party, I'm a Tea Partier. I'm a birther. I'm everything that is for this country. But first of all, and main thing that I am is an American patriot. And I will not allow anyone, including Obama or anybody else, to take over my country without me putting up some kind of a verbal attack. And I just can't understand all of this stuff. The other thing I wanted to get, while I can, what I wanted to get on air is, like John was talking earlier about Brennan being whatever he's going to be. I couldn't remember exactly what he's running for. But the thing is, I'm an ex-police officer also. You have judges and attorneys who can't take cases because of conflict of interest. Where is the conflict of interest with putting these idiots in office? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, our Congress needs to wake up. Our senators need to wake up, especially idiots like Pelosi and Reid and all the rest of them. All they're doing is dumbing down our society. And the reason I say that is because in certain states they allow certain people of color to take different tests to come onto a job. If that's not dumbing down America,
yeah, it's called affirmative action.
Probably, yes, absolutely. And as far as it goes for political correctness, I call a person what a person is. I mean, I remember when I was working in an office, one of the, it was a Mexican lady who was a reporter for a news channel. She came into an office, and the receptionist went and told the president of the company, the lady from the news is here. I can't remember her name, but she's the Mexican lady on the news. She was fired for saying that. I mean, how far do we have to go in order to make these far left liberal idiots happy? I'm just really upset with our country and the way things are going. And, I know for a fact that if it continues, we are going to be a communist country. And that's the way I feel.
Well, Jim, what do you think we can do about it? What do you think should be done?
The people need to wake up, and they need to start telling their congressmen, their senators, what they think instead of being afraid to say what they feel. We still have freedom of speech in this country, and no one will take that away from me. And I trust and I believe in my Lord and my Savior, Jesus Christ. But the thing is, people cannot sit back and be complacent. This is a fight that we have to stand up and take control of, or we are going to lose our freedoms. And that's the way I feel about it.
Well, Jim, I have to ask you this, because it seems to me that the people most likely to agree with you didn't vote in the last election.
Well, I'll tell you another thing.
And the rest of them who did vote, they voted because they're getting their handouts, they're getting their payouts, they're getting their shakedown money. So how do you tackle that?
That's true. Let's look at it this way. There was, I think, 40-something or 50-something counties in Iowa that Romney didn't get one vote. They have also evidence showing that the machines are tampered with. Every time somebody voted for Romney, the vote went to Obama. Those things need to be investigated. Somebody up there in Washington, D.C. has to have enough gall to stand up against this oppression that we are under.
Well, the people who are in Washington who are likely to do that are more concerned about keeping their jobs and keeping their noses down than they are about stirring up the pot.
Well, I agree. But the people are the power, and it's the people who have to get up off their butts and start doing something.
How'd you hear about this show, Jim?
As a matter of fact, I got an email and I was listening to it, and I've watched it before. I've seen the two parts on the birther situation and Joe Aparo and what have you. But I think it's shows like this that need to be pushed out there in the front of the public more. I mean, there's a lot of people I talk to, I tell them things and they say, oh, I didn't know that, or, that's just fabricated. We're living in a country anymore to where we're brainwashed so easily that we don't do any research on our own. I mean, all they have to do is look at the internet, weigh the facts, and they can find out the truth.
All right, thank you, Jim. Good points, and I don't know if we did any. I don't think we did any shows on the birth certificate situation. So,
there was something there that I saw.
Okay.
I may have you mixed up with someone else, but anyway, I don't believe that. I put it this way: Obama may be a citizen, but there has never been any proof to say that he is. Everything they've presented has been fraud. So I don't want to take up any more of your time, but
well, anyway, nice to meet you, and thank you for listening.
Keep watching. Absolutely keep watching.
Welcome.
Thank you very much,
all.
Jim. And Jim raises some good points, that it's the people. And your point, CJ, was well taken. He apparently is an evangelical Christian, and the evangelicals took a pass on this past election. And this is.
Can I say one more thing before I leave?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
I saw some statistics that made me kind of ill. 40-something% of Christians did not vote in last year's election. And if Christian people don't stand up for the Word of God, who tells us that we need to do what we can do for our country and our leaders? It doesn't mean to give them their way all the time. But at any rate, thank you very much for having me. And
all right.
God bless you all.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Jim. And
thank you, Jim.
He leaves a good point that we need to be responsible people. If you look in the Bible, in the book of Hezekiah there in the back, it's in the back, God says you're supposed to vote. Everybody's supposed to vote. So that's one of Homer Simpson's things. Homer Simpson used to make anything up and say, it's in the back of the Bible. It's in the back somewhere. So, but I can make a very good theological argument for Christians that you have a moral obligation to vote in a democracy. Okay? When you're in a totalitarian regime and you're not entrusted with the decision-making process for the morality of the group in which you live, it's a different story. But when you find yourself as a beneficiary of a system that allows you to express your morality and you choose not to, then I can make a very strong point that you are violating God's desire and demands at that point.
And would you like another caller?
We got a lot to do. Who is it? Who? Oh, yeah, bring him on.
Okay.
Yeah, we need somebody
liberal
to
Bob.
beat up for a while.
Yeah, okay. Let me get my headphones.
Okay, but you boys all be nice.
Okay, hang on for a second before we get him on. Let me introduce. I'm going to read a little bit here, and then we'll bring Liberal Bob on.
Okay.
As the senior advisor to the President of the United States for Counterterrorism, John Brennan has maintained close relationships with Islamic organizations in America which operate on behalf of terrorist organizations. Senior Hamas operatives such as Nihad Awad, unindicted co-conspirator of the Hamas entity, the Council on American Islamic Relations, unindicted co-conspirator, and leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood have been given access to senior national security staffs and provided input to U.S. counterterrorism strategies for the White House under the direction of John Brennan. So John Brennan has worked with designated unindicted co-conspirators in the Holy Land Foundation trial adjudicated in 2009, where the federal government proved its case and put 5 Muslim terrorists financing terrorism in prison and unindicted about 300 more. Unindicted co-conspirator, and listed about 300 more as an unindicted co-conspirator, which means we know you are bad.
We know who you are.
But you know what? If we indict you, the due process clock starts, and you have a whole series of rights that you don't have if you're an unindicted co-conspirator.
So we'll just keep you unindicted and watch everything you do over the next few years. And then you never know when we're going to come knocking on the door for you.
You never know.
But if Brennan and Obama are in charge, probably you feel pretty safe right now.
Well, there's so much we can say about that.
Yeah.
Mr. Brennan does not keep his support of the Muslim Brotherhood quiet. He has spoken on numerous occasions at Muslim Brotherhood events in his official government capacity. As a matter of record, he has been a keynote speaker at a number of conferences and functions applauding the efforts of the Islamic Society of North America and its leadership. Evidence presented in a federal court's largest terrorism financing trial and Hamas trial in U.S. history, Holy Land, and upheld by the appellate court, revealed that the Islamic Society of North America is a Muslim Brotherhood organization and financial support entity for Hamas, a designated terrorist organization. Despite this, Mr. Brennan continues to work with ISNA. The current president of ISNA, Imam Mohammed Majid, sits in the current president of ISNA, Imam Mohammed Majid, sits in federal penitentiary awaiting trial. Oops, that's not what it says. What it does say is the current president of ISNA, Imam Mohammed Majid, sits on the Homeland Security Advisory Committee, which reports directly to Secretary Napolitano with the support of John Brennan. This is so stupid. You got to be kidding me. Yeah, Liberal Bob, come on. What do you want?
Well, yeah, bring it on.
Oh, Bobby. Good. All right, we're doing great.
Okay, you boys are going to play nice today, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'll play nice.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Couple of questions. Number one, is there no one who is pro-Israeli in the administration or in the Congress who is access to the same information that you have about Mr. Brennan?
That is the $64,000. Well, no, there's not even a question. Yes, there is.
It's not a question of you don't have to be pro-Israel to take an interest in this issue, I don't think.
But to answer his question specifically, yes, there are a handful of people, even on the committee. There's a senatorial committee that is overseeing the hearings. Even on that committee, there are, yes.
Okay, and they have not raised the same objections that you have with the base of information that you have about Mr. Brennan's connection with anti-American, pro-Islamic, jihadi connections? I mean, I haven't heard this, and I try to stay up.
The answer is no.
The answer is no.
No.
Now, why is that?
Great question. Now, let me up the ante. A little birdie told me that some significant national security people in Washington, D.C. actually prepared briefing material for the 15 names I'm going to name in a second, and others, actually delivered the briefing material, actually briefed people on exactly what we're talking about today. And so far, we have a couple of days left. We've heard zero on the issue of Brennan's understanding of the threat doctrine of Islamic Jihad. Zero.
So people like Feinstein and Nadler and
Nadler's not on it. Nadler's not on it. Let me read to you. Let me tell everybody how this works. The U.S. Senate has a select committee on intelligence.
Nadler's a congressman.
Yeah, but he's not on this committee that's overseeing the hearings right now.
This is a Senate committee.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, the way it works, the president can pick whoever the heck he wants, and the Senate has to confirm it. And what has happened in the past, when the president wanted a particular individual to be the head of one of these elite organizations like the CIA, and they knew that he would never get approved by the Senate, what presidents have done, they created a bogus second-tier position, like the assistant deputy to the assistant to the CIA, And anything under directorial position, you don't have to be approved by the Senate, only director positions. So they create these second-tier positions, put their guy in there, then they throw up a schmuck to be the head of one of these, environmental organizations. And the schmuck takes the direction from the real guy that the president put in.
Yeah, take a powder, go home.
Yeah. All right, now let me read the 15 people on the Senate Intelligence Committee that are overseeing the hearings. And the way it works is the majority party gets 8, the minority party gets 7. So they always got a vote, a winning vote along party lines. On the Democrat side, the chairman of this committee, and you've seen her in action, is Dianne Feinstein. She had to throw Code Pink out the other day. Oh my God, her constituents. She had to throw them out. She's from California. John D. Rockefeller IV from West Virginia, Ron Wyden from Oregon, Barbara Milkuski from Maryland, Mark Udall from Colorado, Mark Warner from Virginia, Martin Heinrich from New Mexico, and Angus King from Maine. Those are the Democrats. On the Republican side, Saxe Chambliss.
Angus King's independent.
He's caucusing with the Democrats.
He's caucusing with the Democrats.
So on the Republican side, we got Saxby Chambliss.
Chambliss.
Yeah, he's the vice chairman. He's from Georgia. Richard Burr from North Carolina. James Reich from Idaho. Daniel Coates from Indiana. Susan Collins from Maine. Tom Coburn from Oklahoma. And I've left one Republican out. Guess who it is?
Yeah.
Who is it, Bob?
I would guess maybe McCain.
No, how
Lindsey
about
Graham?
No, Graham's not on this.
Graham?
No,
Graham's not on that. I thought
no, Graham's not on the committee. He's
just the one who says we're holding up the vote.
Yes, he's on the. This is the Select Committee on Intelligence, and each of these people come from a particular, very important committee like Judiciary or Finance or whatever. The one I left out is Marco Rubio.
Well,
that's right.
Marco is on.
How do you weasel his way onto that committee? That's a
because he's on
Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio.
He's got a lot of experience.
Yeah, he's got.
I don't know how he weasel his way onto that committee.
He's got a lot of experience. In fact, tomorrow he's going to be the respondent to the State of the Union in bilingually.
Si, senor.
Si, senor. Yeah, no.
Bilingually. No, he's going to do American Sign Language.
Marco sits on the Commerce, Science, and Transportation. He sits on the Foreign Relations. That's why because he's on Foreign Relations, he's put on the Select Committee on Intelligence.
I'm not a big fan of Rubio.
So there are half a dozen people on that list that are seriously pro-Israel people. You got me. We can't figure it out.
Well, we would hope that everybody on the list would be a pro-American person and take an interest in this subject.
Yes. You always take me back to that, CJ, don't you?
Well, I think that is the point.
I mean, that's the reason you don the uniform, isn't it, Bob?
Excuse me?
I said that's the reason you don the uniform, didn't you, Bob?
Yes.
Well, we're with you on that.
A lot of other reasons, but that was...
Well, I think back then he probably didn't have a choice either, initially, right?
That hurts.
Well, no, it's true. Didn't they have the draft back then?
Yeah, the draft was going on, sure.
Yeah, but he chose the extent.
No, I'm saying I said initially he didn't have a choice because of the draft, but nobody said that he had to keep going back after that.
No, that was my choice.
Yeah, I know that.
Hey, Bob, I got a simple question.
I got one other point.
All right, good.
Okay. You know what? We've had a very, very interesting dialogue between people like Ron Wyden and the administration about this drone directive that I have not heard you or anybody else bring up. Now, apparently, it must be the strategy of the administration to use these drones to kill Americans and save jihadis. So what do you think about allowing this tactic and strategy to continue?
You say that you
I think
said,
he's being sarcastic.
Yeah, he is being sarcastic. Actually, we did. Yeah, actually, I know I brought up a question about that last week when I said that, it would, if you were trying not to kill a lot of jihadis, then it would make sense to have the drone program, because you could kill as few as you absolutely positively had to kill, and you could make sure that none were taken as prisoners and interrogated so that you could root out more and get to the heads of their cells and take out their whole cells. So actually I did, yeah.
Excellent. Or you could miss the targets completely and just use the drones as a cover.
Well, if you go the other route and you try to scoop these guys up to gather human intelligence, what do you do with them? I mean, are black...
Oh, please.
Our black, places of refuge have all been, we can't do that. Well, they got to go to Guantanamo Bay. The president.
No. What they do is they send them to the Afghani prisons, like
and they get let out by the committee to behead people who don't agree with you.
They swing them wide open and let them go, just like we talked to with the guy from California.
Jesse.
Jesse. Who was there? Who's the head of the prison?
Yeah.
I think the short answer to the drone thing is that the drone is simply a tool in an ongoing arsenal of warfare, and it could have absolutely perfect application to a unique situation to get somebody, particularly if somebody's on their way to do something very, very bad, and the human intelligence is a secondary concern. But when it's used to scam all Americans into thinking we're decimating Al Qaeda by throwing a few drones on them, that's absurd. Go talk to any special operations guy. It's completely absurd.
What do you think about the legality of it? That's the point.
You're talking about on American citizens abroad.
I'm talking about the right to get that kind of power.
Yeah, it scares me. It scares me indeed. Now, on a theoretical basis, an American can violate the even without due process in many respects in wartime, can violate, and we've seen this with various acts, can violate the or lose their due process rights.
Yeah, but we don't have a war.
Well. Let me finish. They can certainly do that, particularly if they're in the act of committing a spectacular crime of some sort. So, on a theoretical basis, certainly we would want to kill an American without due process if he was about to harm thousands of people overseas. Okay, number one. Number two. That's contingent upon the worldview and the morality of the person with his finger on the trigger. That's President Obama. I don't trust the guy, so I'm very concerned about this program. But we'll do a whole show on it another time, because for some reason that's become the main issue. That and some of the renditioning, the extreme techniques for Brennan. Nobody's even talked about his understanding of Islam.
Yeah, the whole thing with the drones is it's a big fake out and a scam. Look, we are doing something to fight this so-called war on terror, which we don't call a war on terror.
Overseas contingency.
To kill
whatever.
No, I can't call them jihadists. They kill Islamic. No, we can't call them Islamic. To kill Al Qaeda.
Yeah,
we got kill Al Qaeda. The base. All right. Hey, Bob. Thanks a lot as always.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks a lot,
Take care. Let me read a few more.
Bob went soft on us today.
He did. He's a softie. We're winning them over. We win them all over with our charming personalities. Mr. Brennan also appears to be ignorant on basic matters. I'm not going to tell you where I'm reading this from.
Okay.
But you may hear about it in the future. Mr. Brennan also appears to be ignorant on basic matters concerning Al Qaeda and their global strategy aimed at bringing down the West. Because Mr. Brennan believes Al Qaeda is our primary enemy, he should be well versed in those matters, especially since he has worked as an analyst for the CIA as the head counterterrorism center as the president's counterterrorism czar. In an official press release,
That means unconfirmed, right?
Yeah, in an official press conference, Brennan has stumbled when asked why Al Qaeda does what it does. So he was asked in one press conference, why is Al-Qaeda doing what they're doing? And he stumbled. He said, Al-Qaeda has perverted Islam and has corrupted the concept of Islam so that they, Al-Qaeda, are able to attract individuals like the underwear bomber.
Yeah, that's it.
And one more, and then we'll talk about it. This past summer, members of Congress, led by the brave, I always put in the brave Congresswoman Bachmann, sent letters to senior inspector generals in the United States, to the Department of Justice, Defense, a few others, requesting they investigate the Muslim Brotherhood's penetration of the United States government. When asked about the congressional request, Mr. Brennan blanked and acted as if the request was absurd, despite the mountain of evidence of the Muslim Brotherhood's penetration into the Pentagon, the White House, FBI, DHS, CIA, and other government agencies. What did Mr. Brennan do when asked about Mrs. Bachmann's request? Mr. Brennan blanked and acted as if the request was absurd.
Used it as toilet paper?
Laughed?
Mr. Brennan laughed. Mr. Brennan laughed.
Yeah.
And acted as if it was absurd. He laughed at Michelle Bachmann's request to investigate. Now, let's talk about that for a second. And all of you peasants out there that have voted for President Obama, this is his hand-picked man to protect you and your family as citizens in the United States of America. You have a woman who has a sworn obligation, sitting on the House Select Committee for Intelligence, to make aware to the inspector generals, whose job it is to oversee the various departments. Her job is to make a potential problem aware to the inspector general. They do the inspecting. Joseph Schmitz is a former inspector general, one of our colleagues on Team B2. He is 1,000% in support of what Michelle Bachmann did to notify the IG as Inspector General as to a potential problem. They launched the investigation into determining whether it's a whack job congressman. First of all, you don't get put on these committees unless you have some understanding what's going on. But your guy, this president, his top right-hand security man, when Michelle Bachmann did her job and said to the Inspector General, we'd like you to take a look at this, his national security professional response was he laughed at the possibility of a foreign entity infiltrating the White House.
I mean, that's just ludicrous.
How
on
responsible.
Its face. I mean, all right, if one side is at war with you and it wants to destroy you, like they've said repeatedly a million times, logic dictates that they have to have some other means of actually infiltrating the organization. It's just a natural tactic of war. Every country who has ever fought one country against another country or one ideology against another ideology has infiltrated the other side. Even go and look up at Ireland in the IRA thing. They had infiltrators on the British side. So it's ludicrous on its face to think that they have absolutely zero infiltration into our system. That's just ridiculous.
And the date of that letter was June of 2012, the Michelle Bachmann letter. It wasn't her alone. It was signed by Tom Rooney, congressman from here, Louis Gohmert, congressman from Texas, and two other Congress people, 5. June 2012. What did we know in June 2012 about the Muslim Brotherhood worldwide?
What do you mean, what did we know?
Did we know anything?
We knew everything. And we had just installed them in Egypt that year.
So the guy who wants to be the head of the CIA, in light of a congresswoman, 5 congresspeople, request to investigate infiltration by the Muslim Brotherhood, in the midst of the Muslim Brotherhood taking over the Middle East, laughs at that request. And this guy is qualified to be the head of the CIA. Hey, Saxby, get with it. Marco, are you? What's the deal, Marco? Somebody send this video to Marco Rubio, okay? Marco Rubio and I and Adam Hasner and Frank Gaffney stood April of 2007 in Tallahassee and launched the Florida Security Council. Marco was there. He spoke. We showed Obsession, Radical Islam's War Against the West.
He was House Speaker then, wasn't he?
He was the speaker. Yes, he was the speaker.
Yeah.
He understood the jihad. We had worked together on putting stuff together, and we had spoken after that. He's been at several events, with David Horowitz events, all of this. He understands the jihad. I can't understand why he can't find his tongue on this and say, Mr. Brennan, what do you? I would not ask an open-ended question. I'd do a cross-examination. Do you feel you are competent in your understanding of the Islamic threat doctrine? And Marco, if you need help on this, because not everybody knows this stuff, he knows it on a macro scale. If you want some help, we got a bunch of guys in Washington. You want to talk to how about an admiral of the Pacific Fleet? You want to talk to the former director of the CIA? Who do you want to talk to? And we'll get you briefed on this. Boy, oh boy.
I tell you what, it's just and it's really ludicrous when you think about it. I mean, that he has, and think about it this way: do you really want the director of the CIA saying, "Oh, there's nothing to see here. Let's move on"? No, I want someone who's going to hey, you know what? We got some Muslim bad guys out there.
It's a done deal. Brennan's going to get confirmed, and Rubio is thinking of every single day about everything he says, every wisp of hair in place, because he's thinking about his political career.
David Petraeus was brought down after betrayal by vengeful CIA agents and his own bodyguards who made sure his affair was exposed, claims a new book. I'm reading from the Daily Mail, Mail Online, and this came out last night.
The UK.
From the United Kingdom. You can buy the book. It's $2.99. Amazon Kindle. I bought it last night. It's being delivered tomorrow. It's 82 pages. I will have it in my hands for this show. But Brandon Webb, I'm introducing this, and we're going to go to a break. Brandon Webb, a former SEAL, Navy SEAL, and Jack Murphy, a former Green Beret, reveal the new claims in their book, Benghazi, the Definitive Report. Now we're back to Benghazi.
Yeah,
Benghazi,
what a coincidence.
Yeah. Petraeus was humiliated after a palace coup. Don't miss those two words, folks. A palace coup by high-level intelligence officers who did not like the way he was running the CIA, the authors say. The book also claims that Petraeus and Ambassador Chris Stevens were caught off guard by the Benghazi consulate attack because they weren't briefed about the ongoing U.S. military operations in Libya. And these were military operations after the fall of Gaddafi. Webb and Murphy, the authors of this book, say the Benghazi attack was a retaliation for secret raids authorized by President Obama and
John Brennan.
John Brennan. Oh, my word. What are the peasants going to say? They're going to close their eyes, plug their ears, and cover their mouths. I see no evil, I hear no evil, I speak no evil, because we want our EBT cards. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Our what?
Thanks for tuning in to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Tom Trento can be reached at 561-319-5533 or tom@trentovision.tv. And tune in again weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Vikings.
Red State.
Blue State.
We come from different places. Uptown.
Downtown.
We come to different conclusions. Half empty.
Half full.
But no matter how different we are, we're all connected, and we can all make a difference. That's why United Way brings people, expertise, and resources together to improve the education, income, and health of our communities, the building blocks for a better life. When we live united, our efforts, magnified by others, add up to real change. Children succeed in school, families gain financial stability, the health of our neighbors improves, and suddenly, so do our communities. But real change won't happen without you.
Live united.
So let's look beyond our differences.
Live united.
One by one, let's make a difference. Let's reach out a hand to one and influence the condition of all.
Live united.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Sign up today at liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
It takes 12 years to create a graduate. It takes about the same time to create a dropout. The difference between a child becoming one or the other could be you. Studies prove that reading to a child regularly dramatically improves reading skills. And kids who read well by 3rd grade are 4 times as likely to graduate. So United Way is calling for 1 million volunteers over the next 3 years. We're asking you to step up, make a pledge, tutor a child who needs help, mentor a kid who needs someone on their side, volunteer to read to children, make a difference. Because when a child advances, we all advance. Entire communities improve. The path to success or failure starts long before graduation day, and the difference between a graduate and a dropout could be you. Be a reader, tutor or mentor, give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge. Go to liveunited.org now. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Papi.
Yes, mija.
I love walking around our block.
Me too.
It's just like walking around the world, but it doesn't take as long.
That would take a long time.
No, really. My friend Kayla's from India, and Lily's family is from China. And Beza travels a lot to see her family in Ethiopia.
And don't forget the Murphys.
I really like our neighborhood and all the families from different places.
We're lucky, sweetie. We live in a diverse community.
Diverse?
Yeah, it's a place where people from all different backgrounds come together and live, and share, and appreciate everything that makes us special.
I like it.
Neighborhood diversity promotes a greater sense of engagement, teaches that stereotypes are wrong, and better prepares our children for the global community. To learn more about how the Fair Housing Act promotes diversity, visit hud.gov/fairhousing. The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, and familial status. A message from the Department of Housing and Urban Development in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
This is Health and Wealth Radio, AM 1470, WWNN Pompano Beach, and WKIS HD3, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
AM 1470, WNN, with more of what you need to know. Tune in for a holistic approach to your health with Dr. Elizabeth King's Health Fusion, Thursdays at noon, Fridays at 3, and Sundays at 7 p.m. AM 1470, WNN.
Pope will be chosen at a conclave of cardinals in mid-March. The headaches from the weekend snowstorm are far from over for travelers in the Northeast. A 10-mile stretch of Interstate 91 was shut down in both directions for more than an hour today near Hartford, Connecticut because of icy conditions, and many secondary roads still have a thick coating of snow. This is IRN USA Radio News.
I will never forget the day my son Jeremy told me he hated me and slammed the door in my face. I'm behavioral therapist Janet Lehman. Behavior problems can turn the child you love and your life into a nightmare. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the step-by-step program that shows you how to fix the worst behavior problems and get your child to respect and listen to you again. No matter what the behavior, defiance, backtalk, angry outbursts, disrespect, we can help you stop it. Now you can get the Total Transformation for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. You can keep it forever for free.
Limited number of free programs available. Call now. 1-800-893-4392. 1-800-893-4392. That's 1-800-893-4392. 1-800-893-4392.
Yesterday's tornado in Mississippi has left more than 200 houses and mobile homes damaged or destroyed and more than 60 people injured, but officials say no lives were lost and no one is missing. Here's Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant.
We have no fatalities. 63 patients were treated and triaged at 2 local hospitals, and we believe most of those have been released.
The governor says part of the reason was that tornado sirens sounded up to 30 minutes in advance. Also, because it was Sunday, a number of businesses were closed and there weren't many people on the University of Southern Mississippi Mississippi campus because of a school holiday. Top Senate Democrats are preparing a plan to slice the Pentagon's budget by $3 billion a year in an attempt to avoid far steeper cuts this year that defense hawks warn would cripple the military. Democratic aides say the plan is expected to be released this week with a goal of holding a vote before $85 billion in automatic budget cuts start to strike in March, but it contains a 10-year, $47 billion tax increase that Republicans are likely to oppose. For the latest news and analysis, log on to IRNUSAnews.com.
Valentine's Day is this week, and ProFlowers is offering an amazing last-minute deal. 1 dozen gorgeous red roses, plus a free glass vase, a free teddy bear, and a free box of chocolates for just $39.99. But hurry, because it could be nearly impossible to find roses on Valentine's Day. And this incredible last-minute deal expires Wednesday. The only way to get this amazing deal is to visit proflowers.com. Click on the microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code ROSE14. That's secret code ROSE14.
Syria is denying rebel claims that they have captured the nation's largest dam. Amateur video released by activists shows gunmen walking around the facility's operations rooms and employees carrying on with their work. Experts warn that any mistakes in managing the dam could drown wide areas in Syria and Iraq. The lawyer hired by Penn State to handle claims from alleged sexual abuse victims of former assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky says most but not all of the claims are on the table. Attorney Ken Feinberg says the next step is for the university to respond in coming weeks to the offers. Feinberg has said talks were underway with 28 claimants. Sandusky was convicted of abusing 10 boys and is in prison. We're paying about a quarter more for a gallon of gas these days. Correspondent John Klobuchar has more.
You see them as you drive. Those numbers on gas station signs are going up. The price at the pump is
up 25 cents in the past 2 weeks. The average for regular is now $3.59.
Oil analyst Trilby Lundberg says the rise in oil prices is only partly to blame.
Several refineries in the U.S. have idled some capacity to do repairs, planned and unplanned, in advance of our big gasoline demand season in spring and summer.
Lundberg says the nation's lowest average price for gas is $3.05 in Billings, Montana. Los Angeles had the highest at $4.10. I'm John Klobuchar.
Authorities are investigating a helicopter crash that killed 3 people who were recording video for a new reality TV show for the Discovery Channel. The chopper crashed early Sunday in a rural area of northern Los Angeles County. All 3 victims were on the helicopter. With IRN, U.S.
Here's some great news from Tom Trento, host of the daily WNN Trento Vision Show. Due to the unparalleled success of the Trento Vision Show, you now have an amazing opportunity to advertise on the Trento Vision Show. If you want more information about this excellent opportunity for your business, please contact Tom Trento at 561-319-5533, or you can email him, tom@trentovision.tv. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trento Vision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or tom@trentovision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and trentovision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Okay, here we go. Ready to go. You want to aspirin or something? Okay. Hi, Tom Trento, Trento Vision. Tom Trento, Brennan Vision. It's Brennan Vision time. We don't want Brennan Vision. We don't want no stinking Brennan Vision. Our goal, folks, on this national security radio program is to persuade Americans to put pressure. The end game is put pressure on your senator to vote no. Every state has 2 senators, 100 of them. The Democrats have a majority, but we need everybody to put pressure on your senator and say, look, too much crap with this guy, too many red flags, too many goofy things. The thesis of John Guandolo last Friday was not necessarily, in fact, he qualified it 100 times. The issue isn't necessarily that John Brennan converted to Islam, and in fact, he went on to say, John, and he says so in his article, that being a Muslim doesn't necessarily disqualify you from holding an office. It's certainly not a constitutional disqualification. There's no religious test. That point was well made. What he did say was, what John did say was that Brennan became a convert as a result of a sophisticated Saudi influence operation on a wanderlust guy. John Brennan has stated in his speeches that he left New Jersey College because he had a wanderlust. He wanted to wander around. He had a lust for wandering the globe. Long hair, earring, and just set out to find himself. Well, he found himself in Saudi Arabia, okay?
Yeah.
And
usually they end up like in India and study with a yogi or something, right?
He went through a whole bunch of stuff, then went to the government and joined the CIA and winds up station chief in Riyadh. And while there, gets rolled over by the Saudis to the point of conversion. And you know, some people may say, oh, but he just accepted a religion like people convert to Christianity or Judaism or whatever. Come on, guys. Okay, you're in Saudi Arabia, and you are the head of the CIA, and you now become one of them in their religion. Guandolo's point was anyone with the inability to see through that it was a foreign operation to influence the leader, in this case John Brennan, loses the opportunity to serve at this prominent level. He's disqualified. Well, and if you check his actions, that happened in the late 90s. So we are 10 years removed. If you look at his actions, and then John goes in great detail in his article and Friday, in great detail presenting factual information as to why Brennan should be disqualified. I just got an email from a Washington friend of mine who said, Tom, I confirmed through a friend that Brennan did convert to Islam related to Saudi Arabia. So I just called him. And I'm not going to go into any names, but someone who was a fighter pilot for many, many years, and then a U.S. Marshal, law enforcement, and is close to the situation, and heard the story and confirmed to, and I actually know this person too, confirmed to a friend of mine who just told me, yeah, that's known in very tight circles in Washington, D.C.
So why is it only coming out now? I mean, he's been in a high-level position to influence this administration for years now, and why is this only coming out now?
I was going to say something that.
I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say something that said, well, if people just found out that you were a blank, mm-hmm. they would be shocked, right? Mm-hmm. And because whatever the thing is that I would fill in would be shocking in terms of who they understand you to be. And for some reason, while we're fighting Islamic jihad worldwide, we don't think it's a good idea to have if we got a president for a Muslim, everybody says, the head of the CIA as a person who has accepted Islam as their worldview and interprets life from the fashion of the Saudis, not as the Saudis believe. Brennan isn't living life as a Muslim as the Saudis believe. He's living it as the Saudis are directing him to live it, as a peaceful and all of that, and a wonderful religion. And the Saudis chop your hands off and will kill you if you're an apostate. But let's go to the connection with Benghazi, because the theory, and John believes that the theory has been established based upon his investigation into those who were there. The theory that John Brennan is a Muslim answers a whole ton of questions as to why he behaves the way he does. But how does all this work to disqualify him to be the head of the CIA? Let's jump to Benghazi. Let me read you this stuff and let's talk about this. 888-565-1470. 888-565-1470. I'm going to read you a couple of quotes from this book. The book is written by two authors, Brandon Webb and Jack Murphy. It was published by William Morrow Company, part of HarperCollins. So these are serious publishing houses. And these guys write for SOFREP, Special Operations Publishers. There's a division for all the special operators that retire and want to write books.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some of these large publishing houses have a boutique industry where the special operators go there and they get help with writing their books. So Brandon Webb and Jack Murphy helped the SEAL and the Green Beret, who were the personal bodyguards of Petraeus, to write this book. Kabish, everybody?
Yep.
Okay.
Got it.
Now, in the book, written by two experienced investigative writers, Brandon Webb and Jack Murphy, through the words of two special operators, personal bodyguards, and their pictures are right here and everything, of Petraeus. Here's a couple of excerpts. Deputy National Security Advisor John Brennan also ran a highly compartmentalized program out of the White House. You think the president knew about that, guys?
I don't know.
Highly compartmentalized out of the White House. What do you think the president? Think he knew about that?
This is the same president who
Possibly, okay.
says, "Don't call me while Benghazi's on fire," right?
This is President Don't Call Me When Benghazi's on Fire. Yes, that president.
As John would say, that's a clue.
That's a clue. John Brennan ran a highly compartmentalized program out of the White House in regard to weapons transfers. Oh, transferring weapons today.
Yep.
And Stevens would not have been trusted with that type of information. He was an ambassador. So as often, or maybe, ambassadors work with the Central Intelligence Agency, hand in hand at times, but he wasn't a member of the Central Intelligence Agency, Christopher Stevens. He was an ambassador. Handpicked by whom to go to Benghazi?
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary. Stevens likely helped consolidate as many weapons as possible after the war. What war are they talking about?
The overthrow of Gaddafi.
Yeah, the war in Libya, to safeguard them.
Safeguard them for whom?
Just say, now dig it. I mean, America, dig this.
Yeah.
Brennan tells whomever, maybe directly, probably not directly to Ambassador Stevens. You go through different channels for plausible deniability. But Brennan tells, through others, tells Stevens, hey, listen, Gaddafi's got a zillion weapons out there. We got to consolidate them. We're going to put some guys on the ground, and you help oversee that program. Get all those weapons in a particular place, okay? And that was it. That's all Stevens had to do. Now, I have some Team B2 folks and friends that disagree with this part of the book.
Mm-hmm.
They see Stevens as being not just a useful idiot that Brennan is using him as, but more culpable. That he is a pro-Islamist, pro-Sharia.
He certainly had all the connections in place before he was appointed to be the ambassador. I mean, he was the person who went around and pulled all these groups together for us.
Yep. And so, Brennan, now we're digging into some analysis of Benghazi, which has bugged everybody, bugging the senators, and bugging Lindsey Graham, who said Sunday, dig this, America. Lindsey Graham couldn't find, he did okay on the questioning of Brennan last week, but he was beat up as not being hard enough and specific and detailed enough on key issues, particularly the threat doctrine and Benghazi. And Sunday, last night, Lindsey Graham comes out and says, you know what? I'm going to implement it. He's not one of the 7 Republicans on the Senate Intelligence Committee overseeing the hearings, but he's a senator. He said, I'm going to implement a rarely used procedure in the Senate to block the confirmation of John Brennan. And you don't do that in the boys' club at the Senate unless it really gets nuclear. He said, unless I get more answers regarding Benghazi. So, Lindsey Graham, I guarantee you, CJ, Mark, Mike, and the world, our Friday show made it Friday night to Lindsey Graham's desk. I guarantee you. And I guarantee you he had if he didn't take the time, the 3 hours, or the 1 hour, I guarantee you he had staff people say, watch this thing and report back. They reported back to him, and he goes, you know what? This is crazy stuff. But, you know, there's enough there for there to be something there. So I'm going to do something. I think our show had a little role to play in Lindsey Graham finding a little more testosterone to challenge the senators this Thursday. Now, at which point Brennan exported, so here we have secret plan coming out of the White House. Brennan tells, through others, Chris Stevens, the ambassador, you oversee collecting the guns, and you're all done. You go over here. And at which point, John Brennan, running a secret operation out of the White House, exports the weapons overseas to start another conflict. This is what the book is about that's coming out tomorrow. Which conflict could that be?
So that would be those weapons that made it onto the Turkish ship that made it over to Syria that
could be. Could
Free
very well
Syrian
be.
Army is making use of now.
Man pads all over the place. Could very well be. Another excerpt out of the book Benghazi, the definitive report. During the rebellion against Gaddafi and in the aftermath of his death, Libya and North Africa became a staging ground. Can you imagine? You have this dictator that has suppressed his country for 30 years. And boom, he's gone. Imagine the insanity and chaos. Well, the writers say it became a staging ground for a dizzying array of operations by special operators, paramilitary forces, international private military contractors working for everyone from European nations to multi-billion-dollar oil companies. Why are they all going to Libya? You know what the arms trade is worldwide?
Yep.
Ashnan Khashoggi, remember his name? Ashnan Khashoggi. Khashoggi.
Yeah.
The big arms dealer.
Yeah.
I guarantee you he sent 20 of his guys there and said, go buy some stuff. Take a ton of money, and here's what I want. And you had 15-year-old kids finding sophisticated weapons and having 50 of them, and they don't know what to do with them, but they'll take $2,000 US for them. So there was a whole campaign of everybody landing in Libya, trying to buy weapons, move weapons, take whatever, exploit the situation. There was no government. There was no control. So that's one of the excerpts. Next excerpt. What we do know is that the British Special Air Services, the SAS, landed in Libya at some point, probably the secretive intelligence gathering component of the SAS called the Increment. The Increment. That's interesting. Which works alongside their CIA, the MI6. Elite, next excerpt. Elite counterterrorism operators from America's Delta Force. Here we see Obama playing fast and loose with the truth. 888-565-1470 if you want to get in and share your thoughts or ask a question. We're looking at Benghazi, the definitive report, and we're connecting dots where John Brennan, our focus on last Friday of his inability to understand the threat doctrine of Islam, probably because of his conversion or one of the reasons to Islam, now finds himself as a major character in a book called Benghazi, the definitive report, coming out tomorrow. And the storyline goes like this. Brennan did not like Petraeus, did not like the way he was running the CIA. Petraeus was running the CIA in a military fashion, as a paramilitary arm of the military, using former special operators as now CIA operatives to go fight battles and go after bad guys. And he wasn't focusing as much as others wanted him to on the intelligence gathering component of the Central Intelligence Agency. Plus, he rubbed people the wrong way. He was a 4-star general. He wasn't a politician. Head of the CIA is a politician.
He's used to barking out orders, and everybody does what he says. He doesn't want to hear anybody's discussion on it. He doesn't want anybody saying, no, we can't do that because. He just says, this is what you need to do, and somebody makes it happen. Well, you can't really do that.
No, and he's got a
in
PhD.
an intelligence
right.
agency. It works completely different.
And you have to work with politicians and budgets and all of that. And
you have constituents when you're the head of an agency.
So he was rubbing people the wrong way, and many people in the upper echelons of the CIA wanted to get rid of him.
And rubbing some people the right way.
Rubbing
who
some
he
people
shouldn't have been.
the right way. And because he was rubbing one person in particular the right way, was very well known to his two bodyguards, his affair with Paula Broadmoor. Was that her name? Broadmoor or Blackmore? Broadmoor, I think. Broadwell. Paula Broadwell. So pretty soon, the word started getting out, leaking in the CIA, and it goes that General David Petraeus was not the only one having a little fling. Several of the CIA leadership were engaged in illicit affairs. This is nothing new in Washington, D.C. But when you want to get rid of somebody, though, you make this stuff public. So pressure was put on the bodyguards and on others to provide information to the FBI, for the FBI to launch an investigation privately, secretively, into the relationship between Paula Broadwell and David Petraeus. And the book goes on to say it was headed up by a top fellow involved with the CIA, involved in some capacity with the CIA, and there seemed to be indicating John Brennan. Okay, so the story goes from there, and I'm going to read another excerpt.
It's so bad.
This is like,
I mean, you can't even believe this.
As Washington
my stomach
turns. Yeah. And
is this a spy novel you're reading, Tom? Because
this is mad comic books.
This is mad comic.
Spy v. Spy.
I mean, seriously. I mean, this is insane.
The next thing that happens is some leaders in the CIA and leaders in the White House. Now, do you think the president knew anything about this?
No, not at all. No. He's
I don't know what's worse, he did or he didn't.
I know. Yeah, seriously,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Either way, it's
what's
bad.
worse?
And
yeah.
Hillary, I will guarantee you, President Obama and John Brennan knew that David Petraeus was involved in an affair, and Hillary knew that, and the decision was to get him out of the CIA, because guess who wanted the job?
Brennan.
John Brennan wanted the job.
Well, actually, not John Brennan wanted the job.
Somebody
Obama
wanted him to have the job.
Wanted him to have the job. That's the point.
But what is it that he's going to do at the CIA that he's not going to do when he's working out of the White House directly with Obama?
Good question. We'll talk about that. But before we get to that, David Petraeus and President Obama originally did not have a good relationship. You remember? They were always at odds. And Petraeus is a Republican, supposedly. And but
like Wesley Clark was.
He took the job, and you know, what was he there, a year or two? And Obama saw that this ain't working. You know, I need my guy in the CIA. You know, we gotta micromanage this. So with the decision to put Brennan in the CIA, the next move, according to this book, Benghazi, the definitive report, according to this book, which is coming out tomorrow, ebooks, Amazon, the pressure was put on General Petraeus to resign. Otherwise, it was going to be a gigantic mess for Petraeus and his family and everybody else, orchestrated by the White House. Yes, which it was anyway.
You know, if you're a conspiracy theorist, okay, if you happen to go down that rabbit hole, I mean, it really looks like Obama is kind of orchestrating people to take out of his, to get in his inner circle, the ones he actually really wants in there. And Brennan is one of his peeps, and he's got to get him in there somehow. And Petraeus was not a team player and wasn't part of the Brotherhood, if you will. And so therefore,
there it is. Yeah.
I mean, once you start putting Islam into the factor of all this, all the chips just start to fall into
make
place.
sense, and the dots get connected.
The thing is, though, let's look at it another way, though. The president doesn't need a reason to get rid of the head of the CIA and to put in somebody else, especially after he's reelected. He doesn't have to concoct anything. He doesn't have to out it. He can just say, you know what, it's a new administration. I'm replacing state, defense,
and we're just doing a
national security.
changeover.
There's one problem with that.
There's no problem with that.
No,
so
there is a
why
problem.
go
There is a
through
problem.
all of that?
No, there is one problem
Okay,
with that.
because you have to discredit
Maybe I'm General Petraeus and I don't want to go. Maybe I like my job as the head of the CIA. Maybe I like exactly what I'm doing. Maybe I don't want you to fire me. Why are you firing me? What's the big deal? I'm doing a great job.
And so what? Suddenly he's going to do what in public? He's going to say.
Maybe he knows a few things about Obama related to Benghazi or something. Who knows? But and these are all, this is the kind of stuff that somebody's got to sit down and think through. But let me read this next one. Elite counterterrorism operators from America's Delta Force were deployed to Libya as analysts, which allowed President Obama to declare that America did not have any boots on the ground, but was simply providing air support for the rebels. You see what he did? Obviously, he took Delta Force, put them on the ground, and it goes on to say Delta Force had a small contingent instructing the rebels in the finer points of weapons and tactics. So we had American soldiers on the ground when, in fact, the president said, no, we don't. He called them analysts to get past Congress and everyone else saying, we don't want any American boots on the ground. Behind closed doors, President Obama had given his counterterrorism advisor, I'm reading from this book, folks. Behind closed doors, President Obama had given his counterterrorism advisor, John Brennan, carte blanche to run operations in North Africa, the Maghreb up there. We go from that crazy country of Mali to Algeria to Tunisia to Libya to wonderful, wacky Egypt, all up through there, to run operations in North Africa and the Middle East, provided Obama told Brennan, look, you can play your video games in real life out of the White House, provided you don't do anything that ends up becoming an expose in the New York Times and embarrassing the administration for the election.
How'd that work out for you?
In 2012, a secret war across North Africa was well underway.
Yeah, no, that worked out just fine because nobody in the mainstream media paid attention to Benghazi at all.
Even Mitt Romney in the third debate, who had a touchdown spike easy, fumbled the ball twice and never even brought it up. Never even brought it up.
I'll read you one more deal here with JSOC, JSOC, Joint Special Operations.
That's a question out there for Liberal Bob. Why didn't Republicans bring any of this up?
All right, let me get this out and then we'll talk about it. With JSOC, Special Joint Operations Command, Brennan waged his own unilateral operations in North Africa outside the traditional command structure. This guy, now wait, I got the question. He's a Muslim. Why is he killing Muslims?
Oh, he can kill Al-Qaeda Muslims. Because Al-Qaeda Muslims are bad
That's
Muslims.
like Christian Nazis, where people say they're Christian and they're Nazis.
Well, there's actually, I do have the answer for that.
Yeah, they're allowed to go after each other if they're going after the right ones.
Yeah, and here's the rationale.
And for cover.
And we've talked about this before ad nauseum, but the rationale why Obama can go after these people in the same fashion is because
he got a paper dispensation.
They think of the Muslim Brotherhood as freedom fighters. If you notice, he keeps referring to everything as freedom fighters. The Muslim Brotherhood, in his eyes, are freedom fighters from the dictatorial regimes of the Middle East. Al-Qaeda are just a bunch of rogue people out there who are just thugs. And also, there's a big, huge disagreement inside the Muslim community versus, do we do this tactic, which is nonviolent, or do we go to the jihad, which is this tactic? Both of them have the same end result, but there's a huge, dividing line between those two. And those people inside the Muslim community hate each other because of their viewpoints. The jihadis on the right are just like, hey, you guys are just weak and not into it. And the Muslim Brotherhood on the left says, hey, you guys are making this really hard for us over here in America. And that's
we got the political thing underway.
So that's the reason you can kill.
That's a good observation.
I think they have to be seen that they're fighting.
They got to be seen.
They have to be seen doing something because for their political cover in the U.S.
To dive into his theology for a moment and his concern for his future, John Brennan, because he's still a human being. I think he's a very confused person. I think he's extremely confused. He's looking at a huge retirement package in the United States. He's looking at future. He's 57 years old.
And what does his wife and children have to say about this?
Yeah, not much. He's got 3 kids and 2 twins and another one. But I think in his mind, he said, "Look, I've got 2 allegiances. My money and my future, my position on boards and all of that. I can be a millionaire. I can write books because you're not underpaid being the head of the CIA and being in the White House. I think he makes $187,000, which is
change.
Our yearly budget.
Yeah. That's chump change. Yeah.
No, but he gets jets. He gets everything done. But that's nothing like writing a book and Bill Clinton and going around the globe and making $100,000 per speech. So he's looking at that. So he's got to do something for America. But theologically, from an Islamic point of view, Islam is a fatalistic religion that they believe that if something happens, it was Allah's will. That's the way it happened, and you can even make it happen. Well, if I have to drop a bomb over here and little babies die, that was Allah's will. If he didn't want the little babies to die, I have to drop the bomb. If he didn't want the babies to die, then they wouldn't be there. So I think that theological thinking goes through his mind. If he's a Muslim, which I'm getting more and more convinced that he is based upon the evidence, that he's thinking, okay, if I hit some drones or if I go after Al-Qaeda, and a few other people die, that's Allah's will. That's the way it is. It plays well on politics. It plays well for my career, and I can cover it as a Muslim because it's Allah's will. So I think he can rationalize all of that in his mind. Now listen to this one. With the JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command, Brennan waged his own unilateral operations in North Africa outside the traditional command structure. This is, if George Bush's White House was doing this,
oh please,
every crazy liberal would be jumping up and down, and at these hearings, they would be going nuts. Every senator would be going nuts, and the stupid Republicans sit with their hands on their tongue. These direct action operations, unlike the traditional ISR missions mentioned above, were off the books in the sense that Brennan's private war was not coordinated through the Pentagon or any other government agencies, including the CIA. So the Pentagon, no agency knew about Brennan's private war.
Well, somebody knew because somebody was executing it. Somebody was articulating it. Somebody has a computer record of what the drones captured.
With Obama more than likely providing a rubber stamp, the chain of command went from, here it is, here's your chain of command, from Brennan to McRaven. Oh my God, I just noticed that. McRaven is the SEAL Team 6. He's the admiral that commanded SEAL Team 6. And he is an idiot. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. He's a complete idiot. He's a Obama lackey. Admiral McRaven is he's the head of. He commanded SEAL Team 6 and all of that. He is a total Obama lackey, complete sold out to Obama. The command went from Brennan to McRaven. Now you know he is a sold out guy. Brennan to McRaven, who would then mobilize the men of ISI, the special group of intelligence support activity, SEAL Team 6 or Delta Force to conduct these missions. So you got these special operators on the ground that just want to go kill the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their job. They couldn't care less about the politics. If who's telling them what? We're going to kill jihadis today. Okay, we're there. We're there. And Brennan, through Obama's okay, would tell McRaven, who headed up the command for the JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command, and Brennan was running his own private war. And it goes on to say, this book, that they started going around Libya and knocking off some of the key Al-Qaeda people. Well, the Al-Qaeda people got pissed off and said, okay, you want to play that game? Guess what? We're taking out a few of your people. And they picked a date. Does anybody know the date they picked to do that?
Oh, yes. A date of significance in American history.
September 11th. This time it was 2012. And they went after Benghazi, which was the center of the CIA operations. And Ambassador Chris Stevens found his way into flying parts, found his way into a little bit of trouble that evening with three of the other guys, the two SEALs and Sean Smith, the analyst. So, you know, if I'm just a dopey senator, and I see any of this stuff, I go, why are we picking a guy that has so much controversy about him? Why can't we pick someone who's clean and really we know is committed to America and understands this stuff? Why are we picking this guy? Because the president wants him. That's the thing. In the second term, you usually just bow to whatever the president wants for his cabinet because he's got to finish his 8-year plan. That's what we're running into. All right, what do you guys think?
Well, this whole thing makes Iran-Contra...
That's right.
I said that in the beginning, though, didn't I?
It looks like a Sunday school picnic. I mean, running guns. All right, so let me see if I got this whole synopsis straight. CIA Director Petraeus doesn't know what's going on. Obama wants to run guns to Syria,
to the Brotherhood, to the Muslim Brotherhood,
to Muslim Brotherhood, to overthrow Assad. Okay. So the embassy in Benghazi. He's the representative.
The embassy's in Tripoli.
Well, the embassy's in Tripoli, but
the consulate.
They take the consulate.
It's a mission.
They take the consulate, who was run by the guy who was killed,
Christopher
Stevens. He collected the guns.
He oversaw the collection
of the guns, but he didn't deliver the guns.
Nope. He had them in a warehouse.
But so, because Obama didn't trust him to deliver the guns.
Brennan didn't trust him.
To deliver the guns. So Brennan decides, well, we're going to pick up the guns. We're going to ship them on a boat to Turkey. And from Turkey, we're going to put them into Syria.
Yeah, through the ground, right to Syria. Simple.
Yeah. And in the process of all this boat gets seized and captured. One of the boats gets seized and captured. The captain of the boat comes out and says, yeah, I'm delivering arms to Syria from the U.S. government. And he admits this freely after questioning and interrogation.
Yes. And we're crazy people who, are causing trouble. Us, right here in this room.
This is insane, Tom.
It is really insane. And Hillary Clinton... Don't forget, and then Ambassador Stevens works for Hillary Clinton,
and so Clinton has.
She had to say, "Chris, what are you doing these days? How's that Benghazi thing going?"
I'm collecting guns down here for all the rebels. Okay, keep up the good work. See you later. And now understanding that these weapons.
By the way, it's kind of a scary neighborhood, and I could use a little bit more security while I'm doing it.
Yeah. No, don't worry about it. We're going to pull some security out for you. So
now, give me some tea.
Now, in the process of all this, Brennan is being John Wayne over there against the...
oh, my God. Can you imagine him?
Oh, no. He's being John Wayne over there against Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda gets mad at him for attacking him on September 11th, so they attack the embassy.
Unbelievable. Let's bring Valanda on real quickly.
Is that pretty much it?
That's it. This really sounds stupid. But, hey, if we've made a mistake in any of the analysis, let us know. Or, if you need the question. Valanda, we're ending. I'm sorry we kept you on for a while. We're ending a little early. We got a couple of minutes. How are you doing today? What do you think about all this craziness?
Oh, She's gone.
She's gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Valanda.
No, I couldn't interrupt while you were.
Yeah, I was going through that stuff. I'm trying to get on the record because
Yeah.
we're going to. We're sending these videos
You're
out now.
speaking tonight, right?
Yeah, speaking tonight, and yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Okay.
So, all right. What
and
are your
for
thoughts?
those of you who know where it is,
Yeah,
see
for
you
those of you
there.
who know where it is, come on over.
So why isn't there a massive investigation on this?
Well, we've been asking that for months.
Well, I'm just saying with this whole Brennan next puzzle, I mean, instead of thinking about confirming him for the CIA, they should be up his butt with a microscope and say, "What the heck are you doing?"
There were a couple
I don't
little.
know. Maybe we
goofy
need to
committees.
send a video of the show to Medea Benjamin over at Code Pink and say, "Look, you want to take this guy down? Here's what you need."
Here it is. Here's the stuff. Well, I'll tell you what.
Their head's got to be exploding about now. Code Pink's head's got to be.
I hope.
exploding.
I hope Amazon delivers this thing. 1 minute after midnight tonight. So I'll read it in preparation for tomorrow. It's only 80-something pages. It's a report, is what it is. And what do you think the left? What do you think Jay Carney is going to say when somebody says, "What do you think of Benghazi, the final report?"
Who's going to ask him?
What book? what report?
Who's going to ask him?
After all we haven't looked at it, we have to take a look at it. What do you think the administration's response is going to be to this thing?
Video. Oh, it was a movie.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know how we got into this mess. I don't know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave in a couple of minutes, but this is Tom Trento with CJ, Mike, and Mark. We are on TrentoVision.tv. You can watch the show if you're interested in saving America and you want to get involved with it's over 100,000 people. It happened the other day, officially 100,000 people. TeaPartyCommunity.com. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. And Tea Party Community has subgroups for any and every patriotic, pro-American, pro-family, pro-God, pro-gun, all the pro stuffs that you're interested in. Like-minded group getting organized at a state level. Ken Crow, Jan Morgan, Tim Saletti, superstars with us. Join us every day, 3 to 6, teapartycommunity.com. I mean, where are you getting stuff like this? Glenn Beck does a little bit of this.
I was going to say, you can't make this stuff up, right?
No. You're not getting the analysis this deeply without commercials. No commercials. We've blown off commercials.
Tom, if you're not making this, if you are making this up, you should be a spy novelist. That's all I should say.
We can make some money writing these things. But no, I'm reading reports and some information from some of the folks we know in D.C. That's what we're doing here. We have to leave a little early right now. We will be back tomorrow, 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Tomorrow night we're going over to FAU to confront the Jew-hating, anti-Israeli, apartheid, crazy week. Well, it's an ongoing story. We were thrown out last week. We're going to see what happens tomorrow night. We let them win a few battles. We will win this war, I guarantee you. And it all connects. What's happening in the White House in Benghazi, it's the same philosophy that is permeating itself on Florida Atlantic University to marginalize Jewish people, Christians, and to move to the left in a total socialistic move. The problem is when you move politically that way, historically, Islam sucks on. It digs its teeth into the socialist movement and will suck the life out of it and control it theocratically at some point in the future. We cannot let any of this happen to America. Join with us, but right now, we are going to have to get out of here, Kenny, a little bit earlier. So take us away, Mr. K.
Thanks for tuning in to TrentoVision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Tom Trento